Good morning, early game crew. Oh, we've made it. Oh, man. We've waited all summer, all spring, months and months, 8 months of Rasul Face on watch, multiple weeks of camp talk, and it's finally Football Friday, brought to you by Brian's Heating and Cooling. And today we are live. I'm Elijah Campbell. He's Preston Thorne. She's Jen Jensen. And we are live at the Schroeder's Towing Roadshow in Darlington here at Darlington Raceway, where there'll be a big race on Sunday as well. We'll talk about that throughout the show. And there's so much to get into. These are the best days of the year. We had football last night. We have college football tonight. A lot of high school football. Lou Bajak from the state will join us for his weekly visit at 8:30 to discuss that. A full slate of college football games tomorrow and then Sunday. Finally, toe will meet leather in Atlanta. And Preston Thorne, Jen Jensen, we'll be playing South Carolina Gamecock football.
I like this because you get to warm up. You get to warm yourself up as a fan throughout the weekend, right? So you probably watched a little bit of ball last night. Maybe you got yourself ready, getting yourself ready today, maybe some high school ball. Saturday, you get yourself figured out how you're going to watch games. You're warming up, and then we get to play on Sunday. So I really like this schedule for Gamecock fans.
And because obviously I wanted to stay up to watch as much of Nebraska-Cincinnati as I could, but I'm not going to lie to you. Both those offenses put me to sleep in that first half. It was booty.
Well, I stated it yesterday on the Twitter account, man. Not as much fun hate watching Nebraska anymore since our guy's not the OC. It's just I don't take quite the same joy in their offense being tepid as I used to. So,
but mid-Matt Rule is still there.
Yeah, and
that's a good, I guess.
Mid-Matt is definitely a solid hate watch candidate. Yeah. But it just there was a certain joy I felt when I watched Nebraska stall on third down in the previous years that I didn't feel last night. So to be honest, I started watching it. I didn't feel the hate in my heart, and I didn't finish watching the game. However, Nebraska did pull it out at the end.
It must have been an early game, 20-17. I was getting kind of rocked to sleep sitting in front of the TV watching that first half. I think I fell asleep when it was like 6-3. But yeah, Nebraska ended up pulling out a win. The big surprise, the first top 25 team to lose to an unranked team. Yesterday, Boise State went to Tampa and got beaten down by South Florida. That was a 10-7 game at halftime. And Boise did not score the rest of the way. And South Florida scored a lot.
Listen, man, Elijah, you coined the phrase week one-iness, and boy, did this have a solid amount of week one-iness in it.
Ripe with week one-iness. My God, there has never been more week one-iness in a game in my life from a top 25 team for multiple reasons. Before the fourth quarter, Boise State had five pre-snap offensive penalties. That's a lot. That's before the fourth quarter. And, of course, when the fourth quarter rolled around, they were already down 20-some-odd points. It was basically over at that point.
And Rick Pitino would tell the coach from Boise State what about Ashton Jeanty?
That he's not walking through that door. Maybe the best college football running back we have seen in at least 10 years, maybe, not walking through that door in Ashton Jeanty. And it certainly looked like it. You kind of realized last night how much heavy lifting that man did, because pretty much that entire offense came back minus him, and they scored 7 points. So there was that part of the week one-iness. Oh, yeah, and South Florida trotted out their backup quarterback out there when they were lining up for a punt. Boise State didn't realize that was not the punter. He takes the snap and throws a bomb down the field for a touchdown. The ultimate week one play. You had so much week one-iness in that game that is like the poster child of a top 25 team catching the worst case of week one-iness you could ever see.
Yeah, I think that's a game we can come back and maybe model when we have our analysis of South Carolina and Virginia Tech, because I'm just going to jump out the gate. South Carolina should win this game if they avoid silly week one-iness.
Yep.
And so now I don't want to prolong it and make a prediction later. South Carolina should win this game. They are better on almost every level of the field. However, it is week one, and dumb things happen.
And dumb things happen all the time. And before we get into this game right now, or that's on Sunday, we kind of dogged Missouri for playing two quarterbacks against Central Arkansas. And I think the injury gods made Eli Drinkowitz make that decision for him before we even got to the second quarter, because Sam Horn got hurt in his first drive.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, obviously, for the athlete. That's unfortunate. That's not cool. But yeah, man, you got to make a decision. And also, as we were coming into the season, I was under the impression that it was Bo Pergula who was going to be the guy. So why was he starting in the second half instead of the first half? If you start the first half, does it mean you're in the does he mean
the
you're
pole
leader?
position since we're here at Darlington?
Does that mean you're in the pole position? I don't know what it means, but he was on the sideline in the boot, so we'll see.
Yeah, so that's not good if you're Sam Horn. That's a guy I feel bad for because he's been there for several years. He could have transferred at any point in time. He stuck it out. He was playing baseball too. He actually got drafted, I believe, by the Dodgers to play Major League Baseball. He's sticking out to play one more year at quarterback. This was his chance to start, and he gets hurt immediately. But there's only so much you can take away. Since that's the only SEC game last night, I paid extra attention to it, and I watched the last quarter, last of the first quarter and the entire second quarter. And not much you can get from a team that's playing Central Arkansas, especially when Central Arkansas had to play their backup quarterback for most of the game. But Bo Pribula looked solid. The offense, looked on time. They've got a lot of speedy receivers, and they looked like at least like they should against a team like Central Arkansas. Bo Pribula showed off some wheels at one point in that game too, and Missouri won pretty handily. But the big game on Sunday, South Carolina, Virginia Tech, the game we've been talking about for weeks, the season that we have probably been talking about more in the offseason than any team in a long time. The anticipation for this 2025 season through the roof. And, of course, your first obstacle is the Virginia Tech Hokies. Cut Dave will get number 2 here because Brett Pry was asked about the status of their second returning leading tackler and team captain, Caleb Woodson, his status for the game following his DWI arrest over the weekend. Here is what Coach Pry had to say.
We do have a good amount of depth at that position, and we still have, and it's yet to be determined what Caleb's status will be for this game. But Caleb's been a big piece to our defense, last year and this entire offseason. But clearly, made a poor decision, and there's been consequences. Caleb was a captain for us, just named last week by his teammates and coaches, and we've removed that status from him, which obviously was.
So he got his status removed as a captain, but still undetermined as to what it will look like in terms of his role in this game. And that's going to be a storyline to keep tabs on as we get a little bit closer to game time.
Yeah, and as I said, I don't think you need to jump to any conclusions of saying, it's nefarious that they're only making him play this game and they're holding him out for certain games, because it's still going through the litigation process, going through the appeal process with the school, with the team. So there are ways that he could possibly play this game and be punished at a later date. So you don't have to jump to no nefarious means so quickly on that. But that being said, he is one of the better players, a captain of the defense. And so if he's on the field, obviously they're better. If he's not, obviously they're worse.
Yeah, and that's really, you look at that Virginia Tech defense, they return more production on that side of the ball, but that was also a defense last year that at times got taken advantage of, and some of their better players, like on the defensive line, like the defensive line unit and the edge rushing unit, depleted, but they had a pretty good transfer portal class coming in. The linebacking room was the one thing that when I look at both of these teams, if I think Virginia Tech has an edge at anything outside of special teams, because that's a top, we'll get to that later this hour too. That's a top 16 special teams unit from last year, and a kicker who is absolute nails from all over the field. Their kicker, John Love, who returns this year, did end his season last year in their bowl game against Minnesota by hitting a 60-yarder. He's got some range. But outside of special teams, the linebacking room was really the only room that I looked at where I was like, I think I like Virginia Tech better here. Without Caleb Woodson, I don't think I do, because then you just have Jaden Keller, who was the leading tackler, but then they don't have the depth. Maybe they have the better experienced players in terms of being productive at a Power 4 level, but South Carolina might have an edge there, or it's at least a draw if Caleb Woodson is a no-go.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing. And you don't ever plan for your captain, best player on your defense, to make a silly decision off the field. So that's something that that could also not only hurt them on the field, but just I would imagine he was the green dot guy on
Yep.
defense. I would imagine he's the the moral center of the team. So that's nothing you expect. That's something that could absolutely hurt them, especially if they get into a tough position early.
And an interesting thing about Virginia Tech, too, when we're analyzing this team is the quarterback, Kyron Drones, because he returns. Yeah, had a down year last year, but it's been very well documented that he had 3 separate leg injuries on the same leg, right? 3 different things happened to him last year with one leg, and it limited his production and his availability. Well, now Kyron Drones will be in his first year under a new offensive coordinator. Phil Montgomery comes in to call the plays, and Kyron Drones seems to be fully healthy this year. And we've seen what Drones can do when he's fully healthy. 2023 was a great year for him. But now you have dynamic dual threat quarterback, up-tempo offensive coordinator. Captain Dave, cut 4, please. This is Brent Pry on Chuck Oliver's show yesterday discussing his quarterback and his new offensive coordinator.
Yeah, listen, their relationship has really taken off. Coach Montgomery's been a great addition to the staff. I think he fits Kyron. He offered Kyron out of high school. And so he's, there's a real there's just a good chemistry between those two right now. And I'm excited about the development and the strides that Kyron has made under Phil. Not just as a quarterback, but within the offense, making really good decisions. And I think we're leaning into his strengths more than we ever have.
Leaning into his strengths more than they ever have. And if you're Brent Pry and you're speaking with some true serum in you, that's what you firmly believe about how your offense is looking, how your quarterback is looking with a new offensive coordinator, then you clearly made the right hire. That's the one goal that you should have from any of your offensive coordinators is instead of maybe being hell-bent and married to a system, if you can highlight what your quarterback's strengths are, overall the health of your offense can improve.
Yeah, if this guy's coming back, and I think that's the same conversation that Shane was having when he hired Mike Shula. Mm-hmm. He wanted to hire somebody that he felt like could take advantage of his strengths, that knew him, that was familiar with him. And so you'll see a lot of head coaches, if they know they have a piece that's returning, you don't want to find somebody that's going to do something totally different. You want to find somebody that works with them. So I think there's a lot of similarities between the hiring process that Brent went through and that Shane went through.
Nothing will really change in regards of our conversation. We'll do a good job of just making sure that we stay the course, and obviously everybody's pick up.
Okay, Clayton, we didn't ask you anything. I'm sorry.
Not yet, Clayton.
Yeah, we'll get to you later. We'll get to you later. You'll speak when it's your turn.
Yep.
I appreciate the eagerness, but on the football field, that's a 5-yard penalty.
Correct.
So that's a false start. But we'll hear from Clayton later on in this hour when we talk about the South Carolina defense. But coming up, we'll discuss South Carolina's offense. And our main questions of the day is what will determine this game against Virginia Tech? And who do you think wins, and what type of game do we get? We'll be discussing that all day, but coming up next, we will discuss what we can expect from this offense because like Virginia Tech, South Carolina has their first year with a new offensive coordinator and a dynamic running dual threat quarterback with a really strong arm. South Carolina in a similar boat, but what do we expect from that offense when toe meets leather in Atlanta? That's next here on the Early Game.
All right, y'all, listen, man. We have been telling you all summer that you needed to get your outdoor setup ready for the time that is here. We have made it to football weekend. The folks at Integrated Media can still help you get set up. What can you get set up? You can get Samsung Terrace TVs that are waterproof. You can get Sonos outdoor speakers for TV and music. You can get Wi-Fi that works indoors and outdoors. Why is that important? So you can have all your devices running at the same time, watching all the games, checking in on scores, tweeting, sending group chats. You can be doing all of that at the same time with the folks from Integrated Media. From home theater setup to adjusting your thermostat or monitoring your security system from your cell phone, Integrated Media is who you need to call. So call Nathan and Michael at 803-948-8327. That's 803-948-8327. Or you can reach them online at integratedmediainc.com.
Well, we start out with one wreck this morning. It's at Garners Ferry Road at Pineview and Hallbrook. Your weather outlook for today, well, it's going to be pretty much like yesterday, just a touch warmer, though. It's going to high up to 85 degrees. Now, tomorrow, seeing a 45% chance of showers and a high of only 80. So that's something to look forward to. Sunday, originally, they called for showers, but now they're saying it's going to be mostly clear. 82 degrees for your high on Sunday. Monday, 82 for your Labor Day and sunny skies. So good news there. This is Captain Dave, Wetzel Automotive Traffic Center.
Oh, just days away until South Carolina and Virginia Tech go at it. Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. We're diving into the offense this hour. And on the AAA Heating and Air phone lines, our man Joe is on the line with us. Joe, good morning, sir. Welcome to the early game. Thanks for getting up with us. How you feeling about this weekend?
Man, I'm geeked up, man. Hey, listen, I might put on some pads my dad on stuff, fellas. Good morning, Preston and Elijah. Good morning. Hey, welcome this morning to the morning crew, Captain. And so, the game, man, I really think that we're going to get out and we're going to establish the running game, and it's going to be a successful running game, and then it'll open up the passing game for the speedy receivers that we have. I'm looking at a score of like 27-10. That's the score that I'm looking at. But I truly think that we're going to just run the ball down the throat. Everybody's excited about Rasul and the rest of the running backs. And I really do think that Shane wants to showcase how improved our offensive line is going to be this year compared to the past years. And I just believe that the defense will settle in. Our defensive coordinator, White, will figure out what they're trying to do, and he'll shut it down. And so 27-10 is my score.
Okay. Yeah, Joe, thank you for the phone call. And I think what you just laid out is maybe the best case scenario for South Carolina in terms of if we're judging how you win the game. I think if you're able to run the ball, now Virginia Tech will never be confused with the 85 Bears in terms of what they are defensively. But being able to run the ball effectively in your offensive line, showing that you are a good run blocking unit and that you have taken that step from what you did last year with your improvement and gone from slightly below average to above average is maybe one of the best signs you can have going into your SEC slate later in the season when the run defenses you play will get significantly tougher.
Yeah, as he was saying that, I was thinking, and along with what Joe was saying, the idea of running the ball. I'd love to see a game tomorrow where we don't see Lenore's break out his cape.
Yeah. That would be
right?
Best case scenario.
Where he doesn't have to go into the phone booth and change and turn into Superman, where he just is a quarterback. He's handing the ball off. He's running an efficient offense. And if the game is 27-10, you might hear something along those lines. I mean, the highlights are awesome, but if we don't have any Lenore's type of highlights and you're just seeing them run the ball with Rasul Faison, Isaiah Gustav making routine plays, that would be something that would be very, very appealing to me to watch on Sunday. And I'd be thrilled with that.
Yeah, especially if you can establish that, even if it's not just Faison. Again, you mentioned those three running backs. You have some type of three-headed monster that at least they're all three efficient in different ways. Then you can really forecast a really good season for this offense, right? Like then you can prove a little something.
By the way, we didn't release a depth chart. Virginia Tech did, and they have 6 running backs on their depth chart. So
if you have 6 running backs, how many do you have?
If you have 6, you have 1. I don't know how that works.
I don't know how the running back fractions add up compared to maybe a quarterback.
Yeah.
But they realistically, there's a good chance Terry and Stewart doesn't play, but there's 5 that they could probably play in this game. I think they're trying to do the old money ball thing because they lost Bracewell Tootin in the NFL draft, and now a Jacksonville Jaguar, a guy who was a big part of their offense last year.
Excuse me, did you say his last name was Tootin?
Tootin, yeah.
Okay.
Tuten, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, he'd been a great player to discuss when we're talking about Mike Shula's motivational tactics. I would love for Mike Shula to get to coach him one day.
Okay. All right. Continue.
Content machine. But yeah, they're doing the old Moneyball thing by having to try to replace him in the aggregate and not doing it like for like. South Carolina having replaced Rocket Sanders, maybe you get a close to like for like with Rasul Faison because Faison was an 1,100-yard rusher last year. But now that we know he has been freed and that he can play, the question is, how will he be used against Virginia Tech? Captain Dave, this is going to be cut 8. Mike Shula was asked that yesterday on what the game plan looks like with Rasul Faison in it.
Yeah, no, it's a good question. Yeah, so we were kind of, as you guys asked all along, we were kind of preparing like he was going to, and, hopefully that he was going to be here, and we're thrilled that he is. And I just think it's going to be a good balance of having, and like I said, I'll lean on Coach Blackwell that he does a really good job. He's got a good feel for all those guys. And, we'll have certain things that potentially have up for certain guys. But, the other thought process is we get a guy in there and, if he's on a roll, stay on it, stay on the roll with him in that regard. And we got to do a good job of being balanced, whether or not it's, who's in the game as a halfback as far as what they're doing. But we have to be balanced as an offense, as far as running and throwing it and all that kind of stuff. And, it's cliche but you really want to, and it's the opposite of the defense. You want to stay out of long yardage situations. You want to be able to make first downs on first and second down. But yet you have to have the ability to do that with all kinds of personnel groupings on the field.
So he talked a lot about balance. He said the word balance in there several times, and doing so, getting first downs with multiple different personnel groupings. When we kind of hypothesized earlier in the week that Rasul Faison may be in the ballpark of 9 to 12 carries, does that make you feel a little more or less confident that ends up being the case?
I have to see them run. I have to see everybody run. These are new players that we haven't seen run, so we're just taking their word for it. I have to see them see what they look like early. Since we don't have a depth chart again, who's going to take the first carry? Because that's the starter. Right?
Yeah, that is essentially
the starter.
Who's lining back up there with 28 minutes before kickoff?
Correct. Who gets the first carry? Because that's the starter. Now, it might change throughout the game. Somebody might get hot. Somebody might get injured. All types of things can happen, but I want to see who takes the first carry. My bet is Rasul.
And especially for the first drive or so of the game, because that's usually when the scripted plays happen. Captain Dave, cut 5 here. Mike Shula's asked, how many scripted plays will there be for South Carolina in that first drive against Virginia Tech on Sunday?
Yeah, so done a few different ways over the years and learned from some really good play callers. I think there's some guys I've been around that were hard on the first plays. There's other guys that were okay, in general, and then there was someone kind of in between. So, yeah, I mean, we'll look at it. We kind of look at it. These are the things we like to start. A couple things. These are things we'd like to kind of start the game with. And then there's other calls that I think, and I'm probably speaking for every coordinator, that, hey, we got to get these plays called in this game at some point. So kind of somewhere in the middle of all those. But, there's going up against good defense. So, and they're doing some, things that we think we know what they're going to do, but there's obviously first game of the year and new coordinator and all that. So we got to be ready for a lot of stuff and be flexible in that regard.
Going to summon the spirit of Mike Tyson here and says, yeah, it's good to have that game plan until you get punched in the mouth. And that's as a coordinator, when you're playing a team like Virginia Tech, which is so interesting because they have so many different defensive pieces that were not there last year. And you're having to prepare for players that are watching tape from what they were at different schools, and they might come here and be used completely differently. I think for a week one, I think if you stick maybe too much to a script, you might be opening yourself up to that week one-iness that we talk about.
Yeah, and because in week one, you don't know how Virginia Tech reacts to what you do, what you'll probably see from Mike Shula is a couple of different looks early just to see how they line up, see how they adjust to motion, see how they play certain plays, who they have on responsibilities. And then maybe the second or third series you get into, now you start calling your plays based on what they did. But the purpose of the scripts early is just to see how the other team reacts. So, again, as a fan, if the first couple of plays may look disjointed or they may not actually flow together, I would imagine Mike Shula's trying to figure out how they will play them for the future, for the rest of the game.
On the other side of the ball, the defense, how is South Carolina planning on stopping Kyron Drones? And how do they prepare for an offense that has a completely new offensive line and completely new running back room and a lot of new receivers? We asked Clayton White that yesterday, and he went over on that and a whole lot more. We'll hear what he had to say next here in the early game.
Still looking at that smash up. It's going to be on Garners Ferry Road at Pineview and Hallbrook. Your weather outlook for today, 85 for your high under mostly clear skies. Tomorrow, though, we could see some rain move in, 45% chance of rain for tomorrow. We expect that to start out in the morning and go all the way through about 5 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. So it could happen. 45% chance of rain means it probably will rain. Sunday, though mostly cloudy, but 82 for a high. Not really much chance of rain. Monday, 82 for a high under sunny skies. Looks like a good day if you happen to be off on Monday. This is Captain Dave, Wetzel Automotive Traffic Center.
Is live from Darlington Raceway. It's part of the Schroeder's Towing Roadshow. Schroeder's Towing, the best and fastest hookers in town. And then tonight, we continue football coverage, 7 p.m. The Cotman Transmission High School Scoreboard Show with some fella named Elijah Campbell and Justin Hall. We'll be breaking down the high school slate tonight, too. A very good week one, even though it's the second week of the season, with our man Lou Bajak at the state newspaper, giving you the latest from the high school football scene around the state tonight. But right now, we're breaking down South Carolina, Virginia Tech. Time to take a look at the defensive side of the ball. We talked offense in the first segment. The defense is going to be an interesting thing here because that might be the one part of this team, Preston, where you maybe have the most questions in terms of who is going to replace who. You had an NFL caliber defense last year across all three levels of the defense. There is significant change on the defensive line. There's significant change in the linebacking room. The linebacking room is one of those big ones that we probably just haven't talked about as much as the defensive line, but Clayton White addressed that yesterday. This is going to be cut 21, Dave, talking about what the linebacking rotation might look like on Sunday.
We definitely, competition is something that we always talk about here. It's one of those things that's continuing all the way to Friday night. Sometimes Saturday morning, we kind of make a decision depends on how guys are in their meetings on Friday night. But at linebacker, we have Fred Johnson, we have Sean Murphy, we have J.O., we have Willis. Those guys have been the four guys that's really been stepping up. And we have Jeremy Risher, who's been doing a really good job as far as a fifth guy. We have a lot of other guys that are definitely competing, some freshmen that are trying to, getting better and trying to crack the lineup. But for the most part, we have those first four.
Now, I like to try to play psychologist sometimes when coaches speak. And sometimes I'll listen to when you hear somebody ask a question about like a rotation or a battle. I pay attention to who the coach mentions first because normally they don't have their names recognized in alphabetical order. So sometimes the soul will speak without the brain knowing the soul is speaking.
Correct.
And I think Fred J.R. Johnson is one of those guys that we've been hearing about a lot during the camp process. And I think him being named first there might tell us that he's definitely at the top of mind of a lot of coaches that are working on that defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, I believe Clayton White just gave you his depth chart.
I think he did.
He did, right? So he said Fred J.R. Johnson, and then he said who's second?
Sean Murphy.
Sean Murphy was second, and then
J.O.
Yep, Coach said J.O. I'm going to call him J.O. I mean, maybe I'm not as familiar with him yet, but yes, I think that's the depth chart. And again, in Clayton's defense, as we have stated, it's a 4-2-5, the two being the linebackers, meaning that you will more than likely see Fred and
Sean
Murphy as the first two to go out with the rotational guy of J.O.
Which I think is kind of what we expected too, because we've heard a lot about Sean Murphy in every press conference. I know some people that I talked to at SEC Media Days brought Sean Murphy up by name and say, like, hey, he hasn't been incredibly productive yet, but now that he's got his shot, he can be. That he impresses a lot of people. Again, I'm not going to blame somebody for not making it onto the field as a true freshman at Alabama when you're in an NFL linebacking room every single year. And it wasn't his fault he wasn't on the field for the first half of a broken season for Florida State because he was injured, but did play his best football in the last 4 games of the season and increased his tackling totals in all 4 of those games, right? So he's got a lot of positive momentum going into the season. Sean Murphy's one of those guys that I think we can end up looking at the end of the year being like, that was one of the best transfer portal additions this team made.
Yeah, that could absolutely be true. And again, it's the first game of the year. I imagine those guys, especially in that first 4, will play. Just because the thing that we have not talked about is just the idea of conditioning. You're getting tired. People are going to need to be rotating in. It's a little bit of a different pace than what you've been practicing. So all those dudes will see snaps, and you'll start to see somebody maybe start separating themselves even more as the game goes along.
I believe so too. And then we talked about a couple of weeks ago when we broke down the things that South Carolina is judging themselves on. And between that and Shane Beaver mentioning it a few times throughout the weeks leading up to this game, is that they are really wanting to stop the run, establish the run, and stop the run. Well, stopping the run is the thing that they did really well last year, right? With the exception of maybe 2 games that the only 2 games last year where I thought genuinely the other team ran the ball all over. But with a team like Virginia Tech with 6 running backs on the depth chart,
Yep.
the projected starter, the one who played 5 years at Bowling Green State, in a walking boot, so his status is still kind of TBD by the time we get to this game. We'll probably know more 24 hours going into the game on Sunday. There's a lot of unknowns with Virginia Tech's running game, but how does Clayton White prepare for that running game while also making sure his defensive line and his linebacking group is sturdy enough against the run to where Virginia Tech isn't able to move the ball at will? This is going to be cut 23, Dave, because that's what I asked Clayton White yesterday at the press conference.
Now, they have good backs. They have Stewart. They have Hawkins. They have the quarterback. So, and this system itself, people, it's a spread-ish system, but they do a good job of running the football. We're pretty sure the first thing they say is make sure we can run the football. They're not going to come out and say, let's not run the football. So they went out and got running backs. So that tells you right there how important the run game is to them. They went out and got a good O-line coach who brought some players from his previous school. So, you do your research there. That team ran the football. So it's going to be very important for us to make sure we understand what they're trying to do from a run game perspective. And you also have to be careful. You can't put 8 and 9 in the box, because now you're going to have guys playing one-on-one all day. And you just got to be smart on how you do it and make sure our guys understand what we're facing, most importantly.
So, yeah, you look at that running back room. Terry and Stewart transfer from Bowling Green. Marcellus Hawkins came back from last year, but they also brought in Braden Bennett from Coastal Carolina, a guy with some serious local ties to the area. That's a guy that Clayton White didn't mention, but somebody right there who really wants to run over South Carolina.
Yeah, I'm sure he has some motivation.
I've been told that, playing at South Carolina was something he wanted to do. He'll be the most motivated guy in that running back room. So just based off the guys that they brought into the transfer portal, like the offensive line, I think is just a given, because you just need to have bodies at the position, and they didn't have any bodies at the position. So they had to go out and replenish that offensive line, but they emphasized the running back room heavily. And while Cam Seldon is going to be playing initially at wide receiver for Virginia Tech, he was a running back at Tennessee. I wouldn't be surprised if they use him on jet sweeps, if they use him on a bunch of different things that give him the ball behind the line of scrimmage and see if he can make plays happen. And then, of course, what he mentioned with Kyron Drones is a whole other element too, because Drones is one of the more electrifying quarterbacks with the ball in his hands once he does break past the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, and that all makes sense. And the last thing you heard at the end of Clayton was he saying you want to be able to, so you don't have to walk 8 to 9 men in the box. Remember, we talked about football being a numbers game. The way that you avoid that is that your front 4 can handle the run by themselves, or your front 6, as the 4-2-5 would dictate. So if your 6 can handle the run, now you don't have to walk extra men up. You don't have to commit extra dudes into the running game. So that's going to be something that you'll look for early. See if they can play the run without having to walk extra men up. You start to get gashed early. Now you got to walk a safety up. Now when you walk a safety up, that makes the throwing lanes easier. That gives you one-on-one. So it's always a cat and mouse game. And that's why we tried to avoid it. We keep coming back to it. Can the D-line hold up by themselves and play the run? I think that's the really essential question that we have to see early.
And it's a really fair test to start the year. Not maybe the most daunting test. It is a fair test for a week 1. We talked offense and defense, but is the key to this game executing on special teams? We'll break that down next here on the early game. We're back at the Schroeder's Towing Roadshow here live from Darlington Raceway. Schroeder's Towing, the best and fastest hookers in town. It's a football Friday presented by Brian's Heating and Cooling. Time to talk special teams because you can't discuss Beamer Ball without the invention of Beamer Ball at Virginia Tech. And that tradition has carried over really well through a multitude of coaches. It has continued under Brent Pry as well. This is year 4 at Brent Pry. According to Phil Steele, here's what his special team rankings looked for Virginia Tech since Brent Pry took over. 61 in the country, then up to 11, and then 16. When watching Virginia Tech film all throughout the week this week, one thing I noticed, the special teams room was one of their strengths. They took a 7-0 lead at halftime against Clemson, not because they drove down the field and scored. They blocked a field goal and ran it back. They blocked multiple field goals last year and ran them back. They also have a kicker named John Love, who was nails last season, made all 44 of his extra points, was 22 of 24 on field goals, and nailed a 60-yarder in the Mayo Bowl against Minnesota. Now, aside from if Mason Love is the kicker for South Carolina, that we have a love battle when it comes to guys who are kicking extra points and field goals, this Virginia Tech special teams unit is maybe the one thing that the Hokies have that is their legitimate edge in this game.
And that's how you gain edges. That's how you when your team is not as good as the other team, you look for some places in the margins where you can maybe get a slight advantage. And with them having those guys returning, them putting in as much of an emphasis on special teams as we do, and that's typically one of the things that where we gain in the margin. So I am looking forward to that also with our whole staff label crew being new at the position. You could see some potential week one-iness in the special teams. Yesterday we saw a fake punt. Also, Bowling Green, we saw a kickoff return.
Second straight year they've done that. Second straight year they have kicked off they have started their season by returning the opening kickoff for a touchdown.
You could see some wonky things happening in special teams in a week one matchup.
You absolutely can. And that's what makes this game so interesting. And it's not just for South Carolina kicking and making the extra point or the field goal. Because this Virginia Tech team returned so much from special teams, because they were such a good unit the last 2 years, and they block a ton of kicks, the guys that are blocking and protecting the field goal unit, right? Like we talked all summer and spring and up to the season about replacing a kicker and a punter and a long snapper and a holder, but maybe not as much emphasis on who is going to protect the holder, the kicker, from having a kick be blocked. And if you get into a really close game, that might be where things can get really weird. Not just making or missing a field goal, but whether or not you can get that ball past the line of scrimmage is a really important thing too.
Because we're supposed to be the aggressors. We're supposed to be the ones who have all the trick plays. We're supposed to be the ones who are going extra hard on special teams. That's our job. And now it's a Spider-Man meme deal where it's like, hey,
it's pointing at each other.
We can do it too. And so I think that is a fascinating part of this particular game. And I say it again, with it being week one, how is everybody preparing for all of the wrinkles that both teams are known for doing in their special teams matchups?
Yeah, and it does feel like special teams is that one part of the game that may be the most susceptible to the week one-iness.
Of course.
And here's the thing too. I love using the example that we got last night. The Boise State South Florida game gave us perfect fodder to use for examples on how week one-iness affects special teams. It's an attention to detail thing. So much about special teams is attention to even the most small details on a football field, including noticing who's out there to kick the ball. South Florida didn't hide the fact that their backup quarterback went out there to punt. Boise State just straight up didn't notice it was the backup quarterback. You got to plan for who the punter is going to be. And if somebody goes out there who's not the punter, that should raise the alarm bells. It did not for Boise State. South Florida scored on that play, turned a 10-7 game to a 17-7 game, and Boise State straight up never responded from that.
Went on to beat them down after that. But the thing is, how would you notice? Because it's the first game. You're so nervous. You're so focused on doing your job and lining up where you're supposed to and getting the call from the coach. You're not worried about the backup quarterback sauntering onto the field. You just assume he looks like every other bad body punter. Who cares? Who knows who that is? And then he comes out and he throws a strike because he's the quarterback. And it changes everything. Also, the attention to detail. It looked like that was, I believe, their third punt of the game. And so what I would assume was the coaches were scouting, looking for Boise State to see whether the Gunners were up pressing. They were obviously bailing, and that was something they noticed, and they said, all right, if they do it again, we're going to do this. And it worked. Special teams coach, he went to bed smiling last night.
At South Florida, yeah, sir. you are a winner. Efforting the name of the special teams coordinator, because early contestant for winners of the show. You got to be able to pay attention to those small details. That could be something that if we are in a neck and neck battle, to watch for once we kick things off on Sunday. Hour number 1 in the books, live from Darlington Raceway. Coming up next, our own Jen Jensen sits down with Joey Logano ahead of the big race here in Darlington on Sunday as well. That and a whole lot more to kick off hour number 2.
Presser here for our good friends at Absolute Glass, the premier glass company of the Midlands, offering auto, home, and business glass repair. If the glass is damaged, shattered, cracked, or broken, they can handle the job. If it's a cracked windshield, no problem. They'll come out to your location and they'll replace it for you, usually for free, and they'll work directly with the insurance to take away the headache. That's right. They'll come out to wherever you are, school, home, work. It does not matter. Absolute Glass will take care of the job for you. Now, if you're at home looking to increase the value of your home, you can do that with new windows or mirrors, and Absolute Glass will take care of that for you too. Windows, mirrors, shower enclosures. Say it all the time. If you can see through it, Ray and Marianne at Absolute Glass can do it. So check them out online at absoluteglassinc.com. That's online at absoluteglassinc.com.
All right, we got a broken down vehicle. It is going to be on I-26 eastbound between Old Sandy Run and exit 129, Highway 21. It's going to be right around mile marker 127. The right-hand lane is blocked there. That's in Gaston, of course. Otherwise, for today, your weather outlook, 85 for a high. And tomorrow, chance of rain, mainly in the afternoon and evening hours, 80 for a high, 45% chance of those showers. Sunday, a slight chance of rain late in the day. It's going to be in the afternoon with a high of 82. Monday, sunny though, high of 82 degrees. Should be fairly pleasant for most of your weekend. This is Captain Dave, Wetzel Automotive Traffic Center.
Hour number 2 of the early game starts right now. We are live from Darlington Raceway ahead of the Southern 500 here on Sunday. And we're breaking down South Carolina, Virginia Tech all morning. Schroeder's Towing Roadshow is our sponsor here today. Schroeder's Towing, the best and fastest hookers in town on a football Friday, brought to you by Brian's Heating and Cooling. And a fun programming note. Jen let me know that later today, you listen to Jay and Terry on the post-game show from 3 to 6. They'll be giving away a pair of tickets to said South Carolina Virginia Tech football game on Sunday in Atlanta. And of course, tickets are still available. If you don't win, you could still buy them online at aflackKOG.com. Mentioned the race here earlier, and Jen Jensen scored a pretty big interview. She sat down with one of the biggest names in NASCAR, Joey Logano. Here was that discussion.
We're here with Joey Logano, Cup Series champion multiple times, and we appreciate you taking your time this morning to be with us, Joey.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
We were just talking a moment ago off air about busy schedules, and that really is the lifestyle. I was actually listening to a podcast with a broadcaster talking about just how insane the schedule is, and it's so difficult for families and for drivers, and just how do you keep some normalcy with your family? I know they're able to travel with you, I assume?
They come to a few, especially the close ones. But, the schedule, it's a lot of races, no doubt, and it's grilling, It's not as hard as it used to be. We used to leave on Thursdays every weekend. Now we can leave on Fridays.
Mm-hmm.
So the schedule is a little bit more condensed. That you say it's a day a week, but geez, when you add that up, it's over a month of being at home. So it's not that bad. Obviously, during the week we're still preparing for races, and we're away from home most of the time. But you get into a little rhythm. You figure things out, and like I said, you're able to bring your family to a lot of races. So it's a unique lifestyle. There's no doubt about that.
Absolutely. Now, just celebrating 600 consecutive Cup Series starts. That's pretty amazing. You started racing at the age of, 6?
Yeah, been doing it for a while now.
Wow. Okay, so you only have about, 197 more races to match Jeff Gordon. So you're ready for that, right? That's the ultimate goal?
I like how you said only 197 more. Jeez. That's a long way to go. But yeah, it's been a heck of a ride all the way through, and it's neat to be able to hit that milestone. It's obviously a special one, but there's still a long way to go, as you said.
Absolutely. Well, and you think about people who take sick days. I mean, you don't really get sick days. Like, you can't miss a race. So if you're going to be sick, you need to kind of space it in early part of the week or something. You just don't really have those options to take a day off or say, you know what, I need a mental health weekend or anything like that. You're on the go.
Yeah, we kind of laugh at the mental health thing. We've got to keep grinding it out here. There's no take days off. There's no sick days. You fight through it. If you're sick, you gotta be there.
Yeah.
Right. You gotta be able to handle the pressure. You gotta be able to handle the tough things. It's what it's about in professional sports. You gotta toughen up a lot of times, and so it's you get used to it. You do the hard things long enough that you eventually get used to doing them. But it's challenging. I mean, it's challenging for everybody. There's a lot of days I come home frustrated from the racetrack, but being able to shut things off and be a good husband and father when you're home is also just as important as, or more important than what you do on the racetrack.
And yeah, no kidding. And with you, you have I believe 37 Cup wins. 15 of those have come during playoff races. So as we're approaching the playoffs, like what is it that drives you to really be so successful, like that you just really dial it in for the playoff time and that kind of pressure?
Yeah, it's not just me. It takes a whole team with the same mindset that, when it's playoff time, it's time to level up. It's time to show what you got. And, whether that's preparing the cars, going the extra mile, whether that's, a little faster pit stops, driver being a little bit better as well. Everybody's kind of got to pick up that next gear somehow, right? Don't know how you get there. Everybody's a little bit different on how you do it. But the playoff time is, that's when the pay window opens up, right? That's where the championship's sitting there. That's the big, golden prize at the end of the road. You got to, figure out what you're willing to do it.
Yeah, 100%. And as we talk about the playoffs coming, Southern 500 at Darlington back at the start of the playoffs. And do you kind of like with that particular track? Last year, they were at the end of the regular series or regular season. Do you like it being at the end of the season? Do you like it being in the playoffs? Does it really matter? Do certain tracks you prefer having in the playoffs?
I like having Darlington in the playoffs. Our playoffs are so unique. There's so many different types of racetracks within those 10 weeks. But Darlington, I think, is a cool place to start it. It's put on great racing. It's a challenging racetrack, maybe the most challenging racetrack that we go to. So, there's a lot of opportunity for mistakes at that place. So it's the fact that it's in the playoffs does make it pretty tough.
Yeah, I would imagine. And that's, quite the way to start the series. And as far as what tracks are maybe more aligned with your driving style, are you more comfortable on an oval? Are you getting to where it's like road courses, since we seem to have a few more of those? Where do you like to run the most?
I want to run short tracks.
Oh, okay.
I want to be on a short track. That's where I enjoy it the most. But as far as, trying to become a champion, you have to be good at all of them. You have to be a well-rounded race car driver to win a NASCAR championship. It's very different than other forms of motorsports where they just race on road courses or just ovals or whatever it is. Like we have short tracks, mile and a half, super speedways, road courses, everything in between. So, you got to have a skill set that, can adapt to a lot of different types of tracks. And as a driver, that's really attractive. Like that's the series you want to be in, right? So you're not doing the same thing every single week. It's constantly changing up. And you see that, where there's drivers that are better at certain types of tracks than others. And, if you can be well-rounded and be pretty good at all of them, you got a great chance at winning the championship.
100%. The with you having an affinity for short tracks, what are your thoughts and hopes as far as like engine power and what NASCAR may be considering doing as far as increasing some of the horsepower?
Are you asking a race car driver if they want more horsepower?
I know that's what you want.
Of course we want more horsepower. Are you kidding me? There's never enough horsepower in anything.
Do you think, are we seeing a light at the end of the tunnel that maybe they're starting to understand that that's really a necessity?
I think they're seeing that the ability of adding some horsepower is available. You're right. I mean, I think it's hard to say put 1,000 horsepower in it because that changes everything. There's a lot of parts and pieces of the car that would have to change. It can't handle that much horsepower.
Yeah.
So, I think it's only like 50 or so they're talking about. It's small. It's directionally correct. So if we can do it, we might as well do it.
Yep. 100%. So you do these races you love, and then you celebrate. How do you avoid having something happen like what happened with Connor Zilic this weekend? That was insanity, and so glad he's okay. But like, have you ever even considered you could fall?
Pretty okay, right?
Well, yeah,
unfortunately, we couldn't race this weekend, but could have been worse, right?
Does that ever cross your mind?
Great thing.
Yeah.
never has before, but it does now. I can tell you that much. It's just, life changes really, really quick.
Oh my gosh.
I don't think anyone's witnessed a quicker change from literally the highest high to lowest low. No pun intended.
Yeah, the agony of defeat almost,
I don't know what happened right there. So, gosh, it's just I don't know what to say.
I know, right?
I feel bad for him.
I think about all the times.
In so many ways.
Oh my, right? I mean, I think of all the times that Carl Edwards, did the backflip off, and that always made me nervous. But yeah, that was.
But he wasn't doing anything crazy. His foot just slipped. But
well, exactly.
You get out of these race cars after being in there for 3 hours and it's hot and you're exhausted and you stand up too quick. You could get you get lightheaded. You can get a little dizzy up there sometimes. So it's a good reminder. All of us will learn a lesson from that one.
I would think so. Absolutely. We appreciate your time this morning. I just want real quick before I let you go. I know you have a really successful foundation, the Joey Logano Foundation. I always like to have an opportunity for you to share a little bit about that and let more people know about what you do with your foundation and how they can get more information.
Oh, absolutely. Well, thanks for asking. So the Joey Logano Foundation, we give to foster care. Absolutely love foster kids, the foster families. And there's a lot of need in that section, whether it's tools and resources for the families to be able to be successful or the kids, whether it's, in the foster homes or the community homes that we work with. So what we do is we vet, about 6 different organizations, and we've become, have some good relationships with them. And we try to pour a little gasoline on the fire they already got going. Right. There's no need to reinvent the wheel, but there's a lot of times that they just need a little bit extra to be able to accomplish the goals they have set. And we have a great ability to talk to people like I am right now to bring awareness to it and raise funds for them. And it's been highly successful over the last 2 years, been able to raise millions of dollars and impact hundreds of kids and help them to become a contributing member of society. Right. We want to break the cycle and, show some love, right, to these kids, and they need it because, so many times in every case, it wasn't their fault that they're in the situation they're in, and so you can imagine as a kid being put in a situation like that. You just, you're looking for a little bit of love anywhere you can.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want more information about this phenomenal work that he does, it's joeyloganofoundation.com. Is that correct?
You got it.
Awesome. Hey, thank you. We really appreciate your time and wish you the best of luck as the season continues and get into the playoffs, and be safe. And I hope you get to celebrate and do it safely.
All right. Sounds great. Thanks.
Good stuff from Jen Jensen. Jen, yeah, I'm kind of like you. All the years of watching Carl Edwards do backflips out of a car after winning. If anyone was going to get hurt celebrating a NASCAR victory, I feel like that would have been the instance.
You would think. There have been so many different fun things people do. They stand on their cars and they throw down the watermelon, and you could have slipped and lost your balance there. No, but this just was the craziest thing where it got just a little bit slick and the foot got in the netting there on the window. But yeah, we were kind of laughing even before we started recording, and he said, yeah, never would have thought of that, but every time now probably will, so it just kind of keeps up the fun. Yeah. That was crazy.
Not asking you to reveal your pick for the Corley Pool Solutions Checkered Flag Challenge, but how high is Joey Logano on your list?
Yeah, he's pretty high. In the past couple of races, he's been top 10. So yeah, I think he's definitely in probably my top 5.
It's good background info to have. So I'm going to write that down and keep that one in the back of my mind.
Yes, you little celebrity picker, you.
That's right. Yeah, I got to nitpick as much information as humanly possible. We'll get to that in a whole lot more, because coming up next here on the early game, it's the early game morning meeting. We'll get you set for the college football weekend that will be, and continue the discussion on Carolina's opener against Virginia Tech next here on the early game. Sitting here right now watching the sunrise over beautiful Darlington Raceway almost makes me want to go out there, grab some clubs, and play some golf. But whenever the sun is not available to help your visibility, you can still go inside at Pro Swing and be able to play with their golf zone simulators, which can let you play anywhere. Doesn't matter if it's Pebble Beach, doesn't matter if it's Augusta. They have countless courses for you to play on. And not only do you get to play indoors, you also get to learn more about your game because the Golf Zone simulators help teach you more about your swing, more about the specifics of how you're hitting the ball than ever before. You can also get coaching using the on-form coaching app during all the swing evaluations, and all swing evaluations are free for 30 minutes where you can get a blueprint of your swing and a couple pointers to work on. You can also get that on-form coaching app to get you a little more info about your swing and become a better golfer yourself out on the golf course. 803-592-3916 for more information, or you can book online at proswingcolumbia.com.
Well, the good news is we don't have any major wrecks on the roads at the moment, so traffic's moving along pretty well. There's two exceptions to that. Mainly, it's coming in from Lexington. What a surprise on 378 and Highway 1, and especially on 378 as you get down near Lexington Medical Center. Weather outlook for today, 85 for a high. Tomorrow, some rain moving in, 45% chance of afternoon thunderstorms, 80 for a high. Sunday, we see a small chance of thunderstorms after noon. And then Monday, sunny skies, going to be a great day, 82 degrees for your highs. Captain Dave Wetzel, Automotive Traffic Center.
The season kicks off on Sunday. And if you don't have any plans, you're not going to Atlanta, I highly recommend starting at 10 a.m. to noon. It'll be a tailgate show at O'Hara's and the local pregame show that will have Terry Ford and Tyler Head will be hosting. I'll be making an appearance on there as well, live from Atlanta. You can join them there too. And then you can also stick around and watch the game at O'Hara's. We're having the watch party there as well to watch South Carolina take on Virginia Tech and start the season. That is one announcement, and announcements are oftentimes part of a morning meeting. And that's where we're going to kick ours off at right now. Captain Dave, hit it.
Good morning. Repeat after me. Today will be an awesome day. Let's go. Good morning, great today. Today will be an awesome day.
Football Friday.
Good morning, great today. Today will be an awesome day.
Oh, yes, it will, because it is a Football Friday presented by Bryant's Heating and Cooling, and which means our morning meeting today can consist of catching you up on what happened in the world of college football last night, because we had a top 25 team go down to an unranked team on the road, with South Florida absolutely beating the brakes off of Boise State in that second half. Nebraska escaped a little bit of a scare from Cincinnati in Kansas City. And we had an SEC game last night with Missouri taking care of business like they should have against a very tough week 1 test in Central Arkansas.
We also had, I believe, Jen come very close to getting one of her underdogs with the ECU North Carolina State game.
ECU came back. They're down 24-7.
It came close. They had the ball driving towards the end, did not finish it, but it was tight.
Yeah, both of Jen's underdog games decided by a combined 10 points. She was on to something. It was very close. The methodology there was correct.
Okay. I'm feeling good about it.
Yeah, it's a good week 1. Sometimes you pick one of those games and it's a blowout. It doesn't ever happen. But that's an interesting. That was 2 really good games where you gave yourself a shot. To win it. So a lot of exciting stuff last night. Before we get into some of the biggest news in football, Preston, your biggest takeaway from the night that was in college football last night, which for a week 1 Thursday night slate, pretty good.
Yeah, man, you coined the phrase, and I think we're going to have to run with it. Week 1-iness. I think hopefully we get to come back to this next week. Strange things happen in the first games. Kickoff returns, fake punts, Pudge the Cat at Bowling Green.
I love Pudge.
That's a cool story with Pudge the Cat.
They actually let Pudge on the sideline.
Pudge is on the sideline, the locker room cat. So that's something that's very interesting. Very much on brand college football story. So there's a lot of cool things happening.
If you're chronically online like I am, then you have seen Bowling Green.
You've seen this building.
You've seen them put on TikTok and on Twitter of Pudge in the locker rooms. They have a cat that just hangs out in the locker room.
Mm-hmm.
They Pudge the cat there for moral support. And I was like, are they actually going to let Pudge be on the sideline? Last night for their opener against Lafayette, he was on the sideline.
The best part of the story, Eddie George, first-year head coach at Bowling Green, is, as he stated, extremely allergic to cats, but he will do anything to win. And also his wife loves the cat, so he's kind of outnumbered in that one.
Yeah,
So
Eddie's got no choice.
He has no choice in it. He's allergic and his wife wants it. So the team wants it and the wife wants it. He has to.
Yeah, you got to suck it up, buddy. Take some Zyrtec and live with
Pudgy
it.
the cat is here to stay.
As somebody whose mother fosters cats and has 4 of her own, and I am also allergic to cats. Whenever I go home and visit, it's not a, hey, we'll move the hangout to somebody else's house.
Mm-hmm.
It's a, no, we're doing it here, and I got Zyrtec for you, so there's no excuse not to take it and use that as an excuse to not come over. So that's a battle. I'll tell head coach George right now that's one you're not going to win.
Yeah, shout out to Eddie George with his first FBS win.
Yeah,
congratulations to him.
That's right. After spending a few years at Tennessee State, giving them a 9-win year last year. We were referencing the name earlier of that South Florida special teams coordinator. That is Chad Creamer, the one who helped dial up the fake punt involving the backup quarterback that worked to perfection. Really made a big difference in that game last night. This is his first special teams coordinating gig. He spent the last couple of years as a defensive analyst at Tennessee with part of that coaching staff where Alex Golish was the OC. Alex Golish now the head coach at South Florida. And Creamer spent time as a defensive coordinator at FCS schools, Division II and Division III. So he's a well-traveled coach climbing the ladder and really kind of made a name for himself last night on that play alone.
that was a very interesting play. Again, watch out for silly things like that happening in week 1. Before we get to the biggest news of the day, really quickly, if you're here for the morning meeting, you don't have any time to get anything else, let's give them a couple of names that they need to know for the game coming on Sunday.
Yes, a couple of names you need to know. Now, for Virginia Tech, Kyron Drones at quarterback, a guy who is going to be his 3rd year as the starter. Disappointing year last year. Injuries really being the big part of that. He's a player, when fully healthy, is one of the best quarterbacks in the ACC, is a dynamic runner with the football, accurate in the intermediate short passing game, maybe struggles with this deep ball a little bit because he doesn't have the strongest of arms, but is pretty accurate in short distances when it comes to the passing game. He's a player to watch for. Braden Bennett is a player to watch for, a running back from a lineage of South Carolina running backs. His father, Brandon, running back at South Carolina for a little bit. Braden wanted to play at South Carolina. I've been told that was something that he was interested in, but it just didn't work out that way. He went to Coastal, had a really good career at Coastal, and then has found his way to Virginia Tech. That will be a motivated runner in that football game.
He's one of 6 guys on the depth chart for Virginia Tech.
It is a crowd, right? It is more than just company. There's a crowd in that running back room. On the defensive side of the ball, some names to watch. Caleb Woodson, because we don't know if he's going to be able to play. He is was one of the captains, had a DWI arrest over the weekend. He is the 2nd leading returning tackler on the team. Jaden Keller, the 1st leading returning tackler, also at linebacker, is a dude. When you watch a lot of Virginia Tech games last year, he's the one that you kind of notice is all over the field. He's their best playmaker defensively that's returning. And then Ben Bell on the defensive end, edge rusher from Texas State, played 5 years at the D1 level. He's got 19.5 career sacks, a guy that's been proven to be showing an ability to get to the quarterback. He's going to be the big test for Josiah Thompson on Sunday.
Okay, now that we're briefed on Virginia Tech, now for the news that I assume you did like I did. You had to figure out whether it was real. Is this fake? Am I getting duped? Is this SPEN or
Adam Schefter
or whatever, Adam Scheftel or whoever the case this is? But no, it is true. Sorry to the Cowgirl fans out there.
Oh, bad news, because
bad news.
Instead of just doing what the Bengals did and play chicken with your star edge rusher, they decided to just trade him instead in Dallas, a city that may still be suffering from a little bit of sports PTSD from the Mavericks trading Luka Doncic out of the blue. Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys sent Micah Parsons to the Green Bay Packers for 2 first-round picks and defensive tackle Kevin Clark. Yeah, good job. You got 2 first-round picks, but I'm not a big fan of trading one of the best players in his position in his prime for that.
Really quickly, just to note that only 3 players have gone to the Pro Bowl in their first 4 years in the league. The other 2, Aaron Donald and Patrick Peterson.
Oh, man. Talk about good company. Oh, my God.
Yeah, I mean, some people online were saying this might be the best player who's ever been traded as far as being in the prime of their career. And there's a lot of conversation. You can see, obviously there's the huge Herschel Walker trade that was made, but Herschel was not living up to what they thought he was going to be. This guy, Micah Parsons, is one of, if not the best pass rusher in the league. So for this to happen, for him to be so young at this time. Also, there's a Gamecock connection here, because you know how football is. It's a zero-sum game. If somebody comes, somebody has to leave. The defensive end who was trying to get some playing time at Green Bay, JJ Mbari, Kingsley Mbari. Tough break.
Oh, man. You thought you made the team. They decided to trade for the best edge, one of the best edge rushers.
So we'll have to see how he gets affected by that. But there's no way to understate how big of a trade this is.
Groundbreaking.
Also, bad news for old Bears fan over here, because the best pass rusher has entered your division. You will have to see him twice per year.
Poor Caleb Williams.
Yeah, Caleb Williams, not happy about that.
It was already going to be a big year for him, and now he has to face that guy on 2 different occasions.
We're ready. We got it.
We'll be all right.
But Jen's not scared.
No.
Not scared.
This is one season I'm actually not just dreading.
Okay. And the Micah Parsons trade does not deter that.
No.
Not at all.
Nope.
Still a big season for Jen and her Bears. A big weekend in the world of college football. We will play Pick or Click with Preston Thorne coming up next. For nearly 30 years, 3 full decades, Midstate Roofing has been the proven leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry. And their tagline says it all. If you have a leak, let Midstate Roofing take a peek, because they are the best at protecting your home or business from high rise to hospitals, manufacturing to industrial. Midstate Roofing designs and installs those bonded systems with a protective guarantee, something we're all looking for when it comes to the health of our home. They'll keep your operation dry and running long into the future. And they want to remind you too that you can protect that roof. So more protection here for your building with a maintenance contract. So give them a call today, 803-356-1919, or you can speak to an on-call technician after hours or a Midstate Roofing member during hours. Again, 803-356-1919, or always online at midstateroofing.com. And if you have a leak, let Midstate Roofing take a peek.
All right. Well, that wasn't very fun.
All right, you got to wreck Farrell Road, 555 at 277. Inbound there, so that's probably worst case scenario for that. Otherwise, we're moving along pretty well. Interstate's all looking good to go. We do have slowdowns on Warner Ferry Road coming in, 378 in from Lexington, and Highway 1 coming in from Lexington and West Columbia. Weather outlook for today, 85 for your high, and mostly clear skies for today. And then we're looking at tomorrow. A pretty good day for tomorrow as well. But Saturday, well, let's see. Tomorrow is Saturday. Anyway, 45% chance of rain for your Saturday. So a good chance of that.
From Darlington Raceway, the Schroeder's Towing Roadshow. Schroeder's Towing, the best and fastest hookers in town. The Extra Point with Tyler Head and Jack Belcher will also be live here as part of the Schroeder's Towing Roadshow. And then, of course, if you got nowhere to watch the game on Sunday, starting at 10 a.m., our pregame show, local pregame show, Carolina Virginia Tech, live at O'Hara's in Lexington. Join the fellas there and also watch the game with them and kick off the season in style. I will be making an appearance on the show, not in person. I will be in Atlanta. My trip is brought to you by Tilly Warehouse in 5 Points.
And one thing about the O'Hara's thing I did want to share.
Yeah.
You know that with each away game that we do at O'Hara's, you have a chance to register to win a pair of Clemson game.
Oh, and that's gonna be such a fun game too.
It is. So we'll draw a winner that week of the Clemson game. Yeah.
Hang us have a good time and watch the ball game.
That's the big prize.
But you can win tickets to the Clemson game. Those tickets will be, it's gonna be like trying to find, like a treasure map on the back of the Declaration of Independence, a la Nicolas Cage. Like, it's going to be very difficult to obtain those, right? Yeah. A way that you can do that, hanging out with us at O'Hara for road games.
Kind of cool.
Yeah, it's a pretty big deal. Yep. Pretty big deal. So make sure you join starting at 10 a.m. on Sunday out at O'Hara's. Now, a game that I've usually played with Preston Thorne is Cash or Pass. But as part of our early game viewing guide for all other college football games this weekend, we are doing pick or click in honor of the old TV remotes that used to make a little clicky sound. Right? People call them clickers now, but they don't make the same sound like they used to. So pretty simple. Preston, I'll give you a game, and then I'll present you with another game, and if you are staying on that first game,
ooh, I like this,
by picking it or clicking to the next game, and we'll see which one Preston Thorne thinks is the best game, not South Carolina Virginia Tech. So basically, if you have only one game to watch all weekend, let's just say that your YouTube TV is not working, you only get access to one non-Carolina game this weekend. That is what is on the line here for you. And I'll start with Tennessee and Syracuse.
Ooh, pick.
I know you're very
high on that game. The Battle of the Orange. I'm looking forward to seeing what Joey Aguilar does. Was he going to say before or after, maybe during the game? That's going to be a tough one to break. Let's see where this goes from here.
All right. I present to you Baylor and Auburn. Pick or click?
Click. Not Dave Aranda, very boring. U3's interesting for all the wrong reasons, I think.
That team
they do have
and right.
They do have quarterbacks and 3 play callers that could be interesting, but no, I'm gonna click on that one.
Auburn's a weird football science experiment because they have maybe the best wide receiving room, top to bottom, in the SEC. They've got a couple of good offensive linemen. They have a really good defensive linemen. They have the personnel to be an 8, 9, 10 win team, but do they have a quarterback? They have a play caller. Are things operating functionally over at Auburn? We'll see, because that's a pretty big test. Baylor, a member of the Big 12 Conference League, where everybody is
pretty good.
So you're clicking on Baylor and Auburn. Now that channel goes to Alabama, Florida State. Pick or click?
Click. That's not super interested in that. I guess I might want to see how Todd Simpson looks. See what that's talking about. Thomas Castellanos has been talking a lot. But that game doesn't get the juices going. We'll click it.
Now you still have Tennessee, Syracuse. Now I present to you LSU, Clemson.
Pick. This is my game of the weekend. I'm really excited to see how it plays out. Is Clemson back? Is LSU? Things are heating up for Brian Kelly down there. Can they finally break the streak of being 0-4 since the time that he's been there? 0-5, I believe, in the last 5 years in openers. I really want to see this game, the Battle of the Tigers. Who's going to be real Death Valley? I think there's a lot of things here. I'm going to pick that one.
So you got LSU, Clemson. That's one of 3 top 10 matchups. That's all we're going to get from here on forward on this list. Sticking with LSU, Clemson. Notre Dame, Miami, the game right after Carolina, Virginia Tech.
Fun game. The U. A lot of things happening with that, but either one of these programs traditionally excite me personally.
Okay.
Powerhouses, absolutely, but not enough to bring me into that game. So I'm gonna click past that.
And lastly, Texas, Ohio State, number 1 versus number 3, the closest thing we've ever gotten to a 1-2 matchup in the history of week 1s in college football.
Yeah, they just let Penn State slide in there and ruin the fun of this, 1-2 matchup. I know this is the game of the century with Arch Manning and everything like that, but I'm gonna click that. My pick overall is the Battle of the
And it's the battle of the narrative too, right? Clemson couldn't beat anybody in the SEC last year. If they want to be considered a national championship contender this year, this is a game where you can prove that you can play against some of those teams in the SEC. You get them at home. I think they're a better team, especially on paper. They have more returning players. The coach actually has a national championship pedigree. And if you're LSU, you have not won a season opener since 2019. Ryan Kelly has not won a season opener as the head coach at LSU.
Ooh. I think it's becoming a thing.
I think it's a thing now. Like, once maybe an accident, 2 is a trend, 3 is a problem, and they've got a season opening problem in Baton Rouge. I think in terms of just like the narratives that we are provided with this football game, this is one where I'm looking at and maybe like the most intrigue of how that sort of plays out. And because if LSU wins, they prove that they're a legit national champion contender because Clemson winning, not an easy task. But then they still have more to prove. But then that gets that monkey off their back when it comes to just starting off on the wrong foot like they have every single year. And that'd be a fan base that would absolutely be on edge. They're already on edge a little bit. They'd be more so on edge if they go to Clemson and drop that game.
Yeah, and then not to mention the quarterbacks, potential
Two of the
first-round
best.
guys, 2 of the first best in the nation. There's a lot of juicy details for that particular game. So I'll be fired up to watch that one.
That's the difference between, I guess, LSU Clemson game versus Ohio State and Texas. Ohio State and Texas is, Arch Manning versus Julian Sand. Julian Sand has not started a game in his career. Arch Manning's only started with 3 or 4 of them, and the only in-conference team he started against was Mississippi State. The other games like Louisiana Monroe, UTSA. It's not necessarily a murderer's row of teams he's ever had to face.
Yeah.
This is one he's going on the road to Horseshoe, but him as a full-time starter, a relative unknown. In this game right here, you have 2 known commodities at quarterback, which might eliminate some of the weak pointiness. So you probably get a cleaner game of offensive football for both sides.
And just from a Gamecock fan standpoint, I can't lose. Either Clemson loses, so I win, or LSU loses, and their season might tailspin by the time we see them. So I'm good with either result.
LSU still has to play Florida, and I'm pretty high on what Florida's got, even outside of DJ Lagway. They still have to take on Florida before they end up playing South Carolina on October 11th. That was Kicker Click. Coming up next, our man Josh Harris gets to join us in person. Gets to hang out with us in person. Standing by right now. Excited to have him on as we are getting ready for not just the football game on Sunday, but a big playoff race. A channel I energy. Playoffs. Talk about playoffs. A big playoff race going on at Darlington. And of course, our trip here to Darlington brought to you by Schroeder's Towing, the best, fastest hookers in town. And a reminder before we get out to Tyler Head, Extra Point will be going live from 9 to noon here as well. Very excited to hear that. And we will go ahead and we come back next. Josh Harris, the man himself, gets to join us in person for the early game. After having him on the phone for the Quarterly Pool Solutions Checker Flag Challenge, our man Josh Harris is here in the press box with us at Darlington right now. Josh, it's fantastic to finally get to talk to you in person. And now that we've been talking about this race for weeks leading up to it, all season, it feels like now it's finally here. It's a big weekend in Darlington.
Yeah, it's a huge weekend, and good to meet you in person finally. Well, maybe after the end of the day today, we can pull your rookie stripe off,
Yes.
and you'll be well on your way to becoming a Darlington veteran. But no, it's as we look out over the track here right now, it is such a beautiful morning. First of all, we've had great weather this week. Looking like we're going to have great weather throughout the weekend, and temperatures are a lot more mild than we've typically had for Labor Day weekend here. So we're taking that, running with it, and looking for big crowds out here for the weekend. You can see campers are still moving in, but it's really starting to fill up, and we've got a big weekend of activity starting today.
Yeah, it is nice that the temperatures are going to be a little bit better because definitely around the track, it is hotter than the surface of the sun. I mean, it is so hot here. There's just really not a lot of opportunity for breeze and stuff like that. And so it can just be beastly hot and grueling for drivers. Figure, a few hundred miles, 500 or so. So that's a long time to be in a race car in, at the end of August, early September in South Carolina. It should be a really good weekend, I think, weather-wise.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. I've been kind of paying attention to it, and we had a really hot July, so maybe we're getting a little bit of a reprieve. Get ready for the Truck Series. The Silver Silver 200 will be noon on Saturday, and then obviously the Cookout Southern 500 on Sunday night, 6 o'clock playoffs opener for both series. And, a lot of excitement building.
I channel my inner Jim Mora earlier because now we're in playoff season here at Darlington. But I'm just looking ahead. I mean, you talked about the infield filling up. I mean, it is almost completely there. I've always wanted to do like an entire weekend, the infield of a racetrack. How would you describe the infield experience here at Darlington?
All right, so you're a big football fan, big college football fan. You go to the football game. Some places, let's say you tailgate for 5 or 6 hours. Like, it would probably be a pretty lengthy tailgate. Well, just make that a full weekend nonstop, is really what all these folks out here are doing. They've got their grills set up, their campers, whether they're out here in a little pop-up tent or some of the most, the nicest motor coaches you can find on the road today. But they're all out there. It's a community. People learn who their neighbors are. They hang out. They have a good time. They watch the race. They watch football. They do a little bit of everything that you would do for a tailgate, but just extend it over multiple days.
Yeah, it's kind of fun to watch, like when they're moving in and they have their placement because having come here several times doing this, we'll see everybody has their layout, and that is what they do every single time. And yesterday I saw a couple couches, those have been brought, the chairs, the fans out there. Sometimes you see a kiddie pool. It's going to be exceptionally hot that people are sitting watching, watching big screens. They have TVs set up. We're soaking our feet in the water to keep us cool, and Blackstone grills going. It smells fantastic.
Oh yeah,
a lot of times.
by the middle of the day on Saturday and Sunday afternoon, you can ride there and get a whiff of great food, and people will just invite you over too. So that's the cool part about it.
And it's just a sense of community. The people just love the racing and love hanging out together.
Yeah, and really, it's the only sport where I guess you can tailgate on the surface.
Yeah,
like, on the playing surface. You're tailgating at Williams Brice. You're not doing it at the 50-yard line.
Yeah, that's true.
That's right. If you're in the infield, you don't have to go anywhere for the whole weekend. You can watch the race right from where you're camping out, and then after the race is over, you don't have to leave and drive home. You can stay overnight and enjoy the rest of it and have a full day, especially with a holiday on Monday, to kind of take your time getting back.
Yeah, certainly. And then before we get out of this hour here, too, I love asking you about track scouting reports because they're all so different. And that's one of the cool things about NASCAR is that you have, like, you're playing in different venues with different dimensions and different makeup of a racetrack. What's the official Darlington Raceway scouting report?
Well, it is one of the toughest tracks. I mean, it's got the moniker, the track too tough to tame for a reason. So as we look out right here, this is turns 3 and 4. This is the more narrow end of the racetrack. So if you look at it overhead, it's an egg-shaped oval. There's no other track like it in the world. So you can't get a scout report by going and racing anywhere else.
Yeah, that's one of the best parts of it is it is very unique in a sport that's full of other unique different tracks and raceways as well. 2 hours down the books. Josh hangs out with us here to kick off hour number 3 because it's the Corley Pool Checker Flag Challenge. That's coming up next. We'll make some picks. We'll also talk to Lou Bajak at 8:30 from the state, talk some high school football, and a whole lot more coming up next here on the Early Game.
Preston here for Cato's Power Equipment. Cato's Power Equipment has been serving the Midlands since 1983, over 40 years. And they have everything that they need to help you with anything that you can work on your outdoor projects. Third generation owner Ben Cato provides top-notch service, great deals, and the mom and pop values that you love. And Cato's offer a wide selection of new and pre-owned mowers, tractors, and more. So if you're ready to invest in something new, the friendly team is there to make the process easy, help you choose the right equipment, find financing options, keep your gear running strong with service and parts. Whether you're a weekend warrior or a seasoned landscaping pro, Cato's got you covered. Swing by Cato's Power Equipment today or call them at 803-254-3711. That's Cato's Power Equipment at 803-254-3711.
Still looking at that problem this morning out on Farrell Road. This is a road and 277 there and Maker Drive and Broad River Road, near the entrance to the elementary school. It's right where you turn there to go to the elementary. So, a problem there. Your weather outlook not bad for today. And then we're looking at tomorrow, though, 45% chance of showers, mainly in the afternoon, 80 degrees for your high for Saturday. Sunday, a slight minor, maybe 15% chance of rain in the afternoon, starting afternoon. Sunday looks pretty good, 82 for your high and partly cloudy skies. Monday, though, beautiful day in store for you, 82 for your high.
and then they start to send the rest of them around. So they pull in and they're.
Hour number 3 of the early game starts right now. I'm Elijah Campbell. She's Jen. He's Josh Harris. Continue to hang out with us here at the early game, live from Darlington Raceway for Schroeder's Towing Roadshow. Schroeder's Towing, best and fastest in town. Josh, you just got done giving us the scouting report, maybe one of the more unique scouting reports you get because there's not many tracks like Darlington. They call it the track too tough to tame for a reason. Who do you think that favors in this race?
Well, the other part of this scouting report is the fastest way around Darlington is to be as close to the wall as you can. That's where you got the most banking. And the way these cars are set up, you get almost a little bit of a rebound effect off the air between the car and the wall that gives them just a little bit more speed. So it's a fine line between going fast, and these walls are pretty pristine looking right now. Our painting crew has done a phenomenal job, but about lap 3 of that truck race, there'll be stripes. The black marks on the wall start to develop from the tire rub, and then the paint transfers onto the race vehicle, and they get a Darlington stripe. So the fastest way around is around the top. And, again, this track's 1.366 miles. A lot of our tracks are either a mile in length, or we have a lot of 1.5 miles that are similar, but no other track like Darlington Raceway.
No, certainly not. And obviously, the playoffs starting this weekend, too. For those who may not be as familiar with the playoff system, how does it work now that we get into this juncture of the slate?
Yeah, so I'll focus on the Cup Series here for this one, but it's our final 10 races of the year. So starting here at Darlington, going through Phoenix, and over those 10 races, we'll run 3 races. We have 16 drivers qualified for the playoffs right now. After those first three rounds, 3 races, we take the bottom 4 in the point standings, and they're eliminated from the playoffs. Then for the next 3 races, you've got the top 12, and they're racing. After those 3, we cut off 4. We've got the top 8, and it ultimately leads to a final 4 drivers going to Phoenix in the last race of the season with the championship on the line. And really, we throw out some of the things that we do during the race, like stage points and other things. And it's really about, in that race, who finishes the highest out of those 4. And generally, in our championship history in this format, we've seen a lot of the race winners be one of the championship 4 eligible, because by the time they've gotten to that point of the season, they're some of the best running cars. Doesn't always happen, but a good chance that one of those 4 is going to win the race, win the championship, and they get crowned our season-long champion. So it's every 3 races, you eliminate 4, and kind of keeps that excitement. You have one bad race in those 3, it could really hurt you.
And it's interesting the way they have it broken down as far as the types of tracks, and there's a lot of talk right now that if, for instance, you have SVG, who is a rookie this year, so having him be in the playoffs is kind of a significant thing, but his focus and his forte really is doing more like road courses. So for him to be able to advance, if he could get through this first round, you see there's a good chance he could make it to the round of 8, because there is a road course in that 12, or in the round of 12. So people are kind of keeping an eye on him a little bit. I mean, among others as well, but it's just kind of fun to see the different nuances and talents of different drivers and who's going to continue to advance. But they've laid out the playoffs it's been a lot of strategy in picking what tracks are going to be in the playoffs, because definitely challenging of each kind.
Yeah, and if you look at the point standings right now, positions 9 through 16, I think, are separated somewhere around maybe 12 to 15 points total. And in one race, there's a possibility of up to 61 points that you can earn if you win the race, win 2 stages. So 15 points is not a big margin over 3 races, when there's, again, a total of potentially 180 or so points available. So it really, that 9 through 16 right now is really tight, and I wouldn't feel good if I were any of those drivers. They've got to come out here starting this weekend at Darlington, get off to a good start, or it really puts them behind going into St. Louis next weekend, and then Bristol the following.
And then for the Corley Pool Solutions Checkered Flag Challenge, Jen, would I be incorrect to consider what happened to all of us last week in Daytona a bloodbath?
Well, when we finish as poorly as we all did, yeah, kind of. But that's Daytona.
That's Daytona.
You
Quintessential.
just-
Hey,
yeah.
somebody still got 5 points even in that bloodbath. So
I know, right?
I believe that was who ended up getting 5 points? Was
I
that
think it was Bill. It was your
that
pick.
was me?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't expect the 1 5-pointer I got to be with a racer who finished 18th in a
Yes.
race.
And that to
but
be
here we
the
are.
best finish.
Yeah,
Yeah,
here we
18th.
are.
We went from 18th to 36th. So yeah, it was just terrible. And you had I was feeling really good about Logano because he was strong and he'd been leading, and then just things happen and
he crashed right from the leading the pack
Yeah,
there
leading
coming
pack.
out of turn 4. So
which
you
you
just
wouldn't
never
expect
happened.
as much. Yeah, you never know. It's such an anomaly and such an unpredictable
But
track.
I think you were asking earlier, kind of, who would I handicap? To me, experience matters at a track like Darlington.
Yes.
So, and I think I picked first, so I'm not giving away anything. But I will be going with someone that's very experienced at this track, has had some success. Not to say a young guy, rookie, can't come out here and perform, but a 500-mile race, it's long, it's hard. I think experience really matters when it comes to Darlington.
Yeah, I think you'll definitely shine. And there was I'm thinking that probably a lot of pit crews were doing extra work this week, maybe having to run some laps, run some poles and stuff, because there was a lot of sloppy action on the pits this past weekend in Daytona. So, and you're in the playoffs. Yeah, you can't have that.
And they will be pitting every chance they get to take fresh tires here at Darlington. So it'll be really on the pit crews, and that can really make or break a race, especially at the end. If you have a bad pit stop in one of those last couple of pit stops, it can really set you back, and it's hard to overcome that late in the race.
Yeah, you can't have tires falling off. And here the track is very abrasive on the tires. So like you said, they're going to be wanting to change tires as frequently as possible. So you just can't have missteps in the pit. So hopefully they've gotten everything out of their system in Daytona, because this is the time everybody needs to shine. It's not just the drivers.
Yeah, it only gets more crucial from here. Yeah,
Mhm.
I think any bad, pit performances need to be out of your system.
Yeah,
at this point.
It's really fun to watch pit crews. It's fun to watch pit crew competitions when those are available, because you just don't understand. I mean, if you look at some of the backgrounds of some of these guys, I mean, they're like, they've played in the NFL or they've played college football at least. I mean, they are so strong and nimble to be able to do what they do.
So one particular change, kind of alluding to this week, Trackhouse made some changes on Ross Chastain's pit crew. So he's getting the Jackman that was, I think, on Daniel Suarez, his teammates' crew, who ranks as the #1 Jackman in the Cup Series.
Oh, wow.
In terms of his speed, and they measure all these things just like we do in all the other sports. But so a lot of the teams will do that. If they've got one driver in, one driver out, they will try to maximize and put together the best collection that they can for their playoff drivers. And you'll even see it through the playoffs. Somebody gets eliminated, you might see a front tire changer or a gas man move to the other team that's still in for the remainder of the playoffs, because it means so much. They're out here doing 4 tires and fuel in 9 or 10 seconds. So every second, every half second matters.
It's almost kind of like soccer players in England. They go on loan somewhere, like a team borrows them for a little bit. It kind of feels like, NASCAR pit crews have certain members go on loan.
Yep. No, that's a great analogy. It's a lot of fun. It really is. And it is a science.
Yeah.
Yep.
And with our checkered flag challenge presented by Corley Pool Solutions, Jen, it looks like Reggie still sitting pretty comfortably up top. He's about to break the triple-digit mark.
Yeah, he is, which he's done before. But I was feeling a little bit better. I've at least kind of gotten in within range. Actually, I moved 1 point ahead of Josh, which I was like, okay, that's cool. At least I feel like I have a fighting chance now instead of just sitting way in the back, in the check his birth certificate land, where it's.
You feel like you're participating a little bit now.
I'm back to participating, yes.
And on the flip side, I'm in a big slump coming into the playoffs. So maybe Reggie has peaked early, and we will all come in here in the last 10 races of the playoffs and
I'm okay with that.
And run him down.
That maybe Reggie's got all this winning out of his system.
Yes. So now it's time for us to take over.
Yes.
Underdogs.
That's right. Yeah, we introduced the underdog challenge here on the early game. Now it's time for the underdogs to succeed in the NASCAR playoffs. So, Josh, you got the first pick.
Well,
you said experience matters.
Yeah, experience matters, and he won here in back in April, and I picked him. I'm going to try it again. I'm going to go with Denny Hamlin, see if he can get another Southern 500, another Darlington win. we'll see. I feel like Denny runs really well here, even when he
does.
doesn't win. So hopefully I can be up near the front regardless and collect some points.
So I guess that leaves us with Reggie next.
No, actually, that would leave us with me because I'm doing that poorly.
That's right.
So yes, we're coming in, and you know what? Going back and forth. Give me William Byron. Okay.
Preston.
Preston in the background booing that pick. I think you might have spoiled one.
Oops. I'm so sorry, Preston. Okay, so Preston is
Preston's going back to the drawing board right now.
Wow. That actually sounded very painful back there. I thought maybe something
It might have
terrible
pulled
had happened.
something.
Right.
Yeah. Might have sustained an injury.
Give me Ryan Blaney.
Ryan Blaney for the win.
Blaney. Okay.
All right.
You got to go with the backup plan.
There you go. Look at you pivoting.
Oh wow. Okay, so
that leaves you're picking for Bill. So who do you have?
All right, Bill, I got you here, dog. I got you. I'm going to take the context clues of the experience, and maybe because he was on our airwaves, there's a little bit of mojo with Joey Logano, so I'll take Joey Logano.
Yeah, that was my second call. I think he can do really well. He's done well here. So for sure. Well, then that leaves Larson.
I was going to say, I guarantee you
Reggie.
he's got Larson.
Yeah.
And sure enough, that's a strong pick too.
It is. I mean, he's going with the odds makers, Larson and Byron really like the top two in the odds.
Yeah, so Larson's at plus 550, Byron at 500. So the only one better than Larson in terms of odds.
Okay.
William Byron.
Yep. No, it's and again, this is a tough track. So you just really don't know what's going to happen. We've had some very exciting finishes here. So anything goes. I don't think there's just we know who's going to win. It's very different all the time.
Well, that's what makes it a fun
very
track,
fun.
right? It makes it a fun event whenever you do have parity and some unpredictability.
Yeah, I mean, last year we were the regular season finale instead of the playoff opener, and you had a guy, Chase Briscoe, who locked himself in to the playoffs with a victory here, hadn't won all year. So there is, the experience matters, but there is some of that unpredictability still out there. I think if you look at a little bit of a dark horse, somebody that's run well here, hasn't had the best of seasons, got into the playoffs kind of at the end, is Tyler Reddick. Could be another guy that this might be the place to get his playoffs off to a really hot start and see him make a deep run.
Yeah, because he was taking, he and Bowman were both trying to take deep breaths, and they weren't sure if they were going to be getting into the playoffs just because of points and everything in Daytona. So you're hearing some of the horns of the haulers are coming in. So we were having some fun watching them as they make their way through the tunnel and into the infield. So enjoying that. So we do have a pair of tickets to give away to the Southern 500. We do have a trivia question. So Dave, if you're ready, I have answers for you, or I've sent those to you. But one of our questions, the first one is, Jeff Gordon won the Southern 500 4 straight times. Do you know what span of years that was?
Ooh, that's good.
So,
that's a good one.
I'm just trying to think of Jeff Gordon's prime. So I have a time frame in mind.
What is that time span? He won the Southern 500 4 straight times. Nobody else has done that. People have won back to back, rarely, but he's won actually 4 straight times. So what span of years was that? So first person with the correct answer, give Dave a call, 803-404-6100, and you get a pair of tickets to the Southern 500 this Sunday here at Darlington.
I know Tyler Head's gonna be excited that we use Jeff Gordon as the trivia question.
I know, right? I thought of him right away. Huge fan. He loves the die cast. He loves coming out here. There's some vendors out here who sell die casts and all that, and they do. He loves going in and checking them out. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Before we get you out here too, this is going to start around the time that we're concluding South Carolina, Virginia Tech. How you feeling about that in the Gamecock season this week?
Well, I mean, a lot of momentum. You got your local PD guy, Lenore Sellers, leading the charge at quarterback. We got a chance to host Lenore and his family out here last year for a race. Great kid, and so we'll be rooting on the Gamecocks. And I'll just say, I know a lot of sports fans out there. If you're not going to the game and you're looking for a place, we're going to have right outside of turn 2 a little tailgate area set up. The tailgate is free. The parking next to it is on sale right now. But come hang out with us. We're going to put that game up. We got 4 TVs out there, hoping to have a good time, celebrate a Gamecock win, and then stick around, come inside, and you'll get to see the green flag for the Cookout Southern 500 a little after 6 o'clock. So that's what I'm hoping for. Love to see our fans out trying to support both as we work through having a great college football game leading into the Cookout Southern 500.
Such an exciting sports weekend here in the state of South Carolina. Josh, appreciate you joining us as always. Good to have you here in person.
Thank you for having me. Thank y'all for coming out. It's always great to be able to start my Friday morning. I'm going to head out to the campgrounds, deliver some donuts to our campers, and we'll be off and running for the rest of the weekend.
Sounds good. We'll get to more on the early game live from Darlington Raceway next.
Hey, it's Jen for CHW Cabinetry in Lexington. You know, we had all that demolition we had to do in the kitchen, had a flood, totally took it down to the studs, and we had to install new cabinets, and it was the best experience we could possibly have for the situation that we were in. They were great to work with, helped us figure out exactly what we needed, what we wanted, got that layout, and then we got the photorealistic rendering of our kitchen being finished before it was even finished, and that helped us put everything else together. Had such a great experience, we decided to update some things in some bathrooms, went right back to CHW Cabinetry to pick out cabinets for those rooms as well. They can help you with simple projects like that. Maybe you want to get rid of some of those wire hanging racks in a closet that are annoying you. They can take care of that. The pantry, maybe you just would like some kind of drawers put in there just to make that a little bit more functional. Anything you want, visit them online, chwcabinetry.com, or call them at 803-520-6837. Tell them Jen Jensen sent you. CHW Cabinetry, passion from inspiration to installation.
Brand new wreck. This one's going to be a bar road at Highway 1, Augusta Highway. Right at Satcher is actually pinpointing where it is. Farrell Road at 277, earlier accident still being reported. Nunamaker Drive at Broad River Road. An accident there as well. Today, 85 for your high, sunny skies. They say 0% chance of rain, but you never know, right? But pretty much not going to rain today. Tomorrow, they've now dropped the percentage of rain in the forecast down to 35%, 80 degrees for your high for Saturday. Sunday, tiny little chance of rain in the afternoon, 82 for your high. But Monday, sunny skies, 81 for a high. Looks pretty good. This is Captain Dave, Wetzel Automotive Traffic Center.
After a long off season, we only have 3 segments of the show until we're done for our preseason shows here on the early game. That's how close the season is. Sunday, we kick things off in Atlanta, South Carolina, Virginia Tech. Preston Thorne, we've been breaking this game down for a while now. We've had this one circled because it's the first one. It's a big first game. And we've kind of been looking at maybe ways that week one-iness can rear its ugly head for South Carolina. I think we've kind of both agreed the big thing is to limit the amount of week one-iness. You look at all 3 assets of the game, offense, defense, special teams, you're expecting the most week one-iness from which group?
Ooh, I didn't think he was going that angle with that question. I'm expecting the most weak one-iness out of the defense because they have so many people that they have to replace at so many different times. Also, when you look at Kyron Drones being a dynamic quarterback, he can pose some issues, whether it's run throw, run pass options. It's tough to prepare for a team in the first week. They have a new coordinator, a lot of different questions that need to be answered. So with defenses, can they line up in the right place? Can they run their assignments? Can they tackle? Those are the big 3 things that you worry about early in the season. So as a fan, I'll just have to keep reminding myself that this is week 1. They might get some yards. Okay, it's just a first down. Oh, it's just another first down. Oh, they just kicked the field goal. Like, keep reminding yourself that it's early in the season and that it might take a while to get warmed up.
And to add to the defensive possibility of week one-iness, Virginia Tech not only has a lot of new players at the running back position, at the offensive line, some pass catchers are new as well, but they have a new offensive coordinator with Phil Montgomery. He's a first-year offensive coordinator for Virginia Tech. How much does that add to maybe some of the wonkiness? Because just from an execution standpoint, there might be some weak one-iness with like your defensive line unit or your linebacking unit. But how much does just that massive hurdle of having to prepare for something that you just haven't seen before with this personnel play out in a game of this proportion?
Well, also, obviously, due to the tragic events this weekend, you also have to look at one of the position coaches for South Carolina, Travion Robinson, not being on the sideline. Everybody's going to have to take on a different role and responsibility. There's a new coach that is going to be stepping in, Jordan Trove. You will be in the spotlight. Welcome to the big time, son.
Yep. Well, welcome. Yeah. Well, welcome to big time college football. You're in it now.
One of my favorite movies is the movie Glory. And there's a part in the movie where the dude has been wanting to get the blue suit this whole time. And then when he gets in the battle, he looks at it like, I don't know if I want this blue suit. And so
I don't know if I want it.
And so this is where Jordan, hey, you said you wanted this. This is what you want. Everybody's going to have to step up, fill in that moment. But that might be a part where maybe substitutions are off, or maybe he doesn't bring in the right guy at the right time. Because now who's handling his responsibilities that he had for the game? You see what I'm saying? So somebody else has to step up. So it's a domino effect. We will see how this plays out. Ultimately, as I said at the 6, as I say it again and again, I believe we have enough talent that you should overcome all of that.
Yes.
I do believe that. However, there are room for slight mistakes and mishaps in week 1.
the defensive player that you're most intrigued with watching in terms of how they handle what Virginia Tech might do well, like Kyron Drones being on the run or being kind of a dynamic playmaking quarterback. The things that we know Virginia Tech has, when you know that and you watch them and the returning players from last year's team, and you pair that with South Carolina, which South Carolina defensive player do you think really needs to have a big game to avoid Virginia Tech doing what they want to do on offense?
Obviously cliche, obviously, but it's Dylan Stewart. Because how does he handle a team setting a game plan up for him, for you? Meaning they're either going to be running away from him, they're going to be optioning him, they're going to be chipping him, they're going to be cutting him, they're going to be doing all the types of things that can get a really elite player very frustrated. And so I want to see how he responds to that. How does he respond to the game going away from him? Or potentially, flip side, maybe the game coming right at him because they want to see if he plays the run as effectively as he needs to. So I'll be looking to see how he's improved in that aspect.
That's the thing I didn't think about too. Making him have to play in the run too, because that could wear him down towards the end of the game. Too.
Sometimes that's the strategy for a dominant defensive end. Let's run right at him. Let's run all our pulls. Let's run all our actions right at him. Take the action to him, because a guy like Dylan, he likes running around, flying around, making plays on the other side. He may not like it as much if you're coming straight to his face. So I will want to see what the strategy is going to be early.
And that's what makes this so interesting for Dylan, not just for that aspect of the possibility of Virginia Tech trying to test him when it comes to run defense. But this is one of those, you look at what Virginia Tech has on the offensive line. Almost none of these guys have played as an entire unit. Some of them have played with each other at West Virginia, and they transferred in. But this offensive line unit for Virginia Tech is a real Frankenstein project, right? It is glued together by pieces that came from different sources. How does that look in week one? That's one thing that Brent Pry, in all of his press conferences leading up to this game throughout camp, has talked about. He likes the group, but we've heard terms like inconsistent, not there yet. Yes, like they're a lot of
getting better.
A lot of warning signs here if you're a Virginia Tech fan going into this game that might be a point of concern. And if I'm just looking at it through their perspective, the last thing I want as a point of concern going into a game where I have to play Dylan Stewart is protecting my quarterback.
Yeah. That's what you know. So you might see a lot of max protections. You might see the ball coming out quickly. You might see a lot of the screen game to try and get him disabled. But the game plan is focusing on. Is Dylan wearing number 6 this year? They like to change their numbers.
I think he's still number 6.
Still number okay. Yeah. So they're gonna be trying to find number 6. Where is he? Got him. Let's run our offense based on where he is now.
Yeah, and then on the other side of the ball too, Virginia Tech defensively, I think, does give South Carolina an interesting matchup with Josiah Thompson as the left tackle facing off against someone like Ben Bell. Very experienced, very productive at a lower level in the Sun Belt Conference when he played at Texas State. The expectation is that he shows that growth and keeps a guy who is a highly coveted pass rusher in the portal away from Lenore South.
Absolutely. You take the step as being a dominant. You took a lot of steps last year as a freshman. No secret, man. The offensive line was not good last year. Gave up 41 sacks. Tied for 123rd.
There's only 136 teams in FBS, Preston.
That is not good, and there's no way to sugarcoat it. And I can't hear anybody say, oh, we got better, we improved. They were not good last year. They gave up 41 sacks. I repeat, how many sacks did we even not count that Lenore's escaped?
Even more.
So
more than double figures.
So if there's any group that's on the line, I don't want to hear about anybody else. It is the offensive line. Are y'all going to step up and go and block somebody? Like the people in the stands, block somebody!
Somebody do something.
That's where we're at with the offensive line.
Big weekend ahead, high school football as well. A lot of big games tonight. Lou Bajak from the state joins us next to discuss it. Talking about the big offensive line battle for South Carolina facing off against Virginia Tech's pass rush. It's kind of like your home and the roof of your home, protecting your home or your business from the elements, especially when we get into a rainier season. Midstate Roofing, though, for nearly 30 years has been that proven leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry, keeping your home protected. And when your home or your business is protected, it operates at its best, just like any good quarterback would. From high-rise to hospitals, manufacturing to industrial, Midstate Roofing has designed and installed bonded systems with a protective guarantee, something we are all looking for when it comes to the health of our roof, leading to the health of our home or our business, and it'll keep your operation dry and running long into the future. And just to add another element of protection, you can protect that roof with a maintenance contract. Give them a call today, 803-356-1919, or you can always hit them up online at midstateroofing.com. And remember, if you have a leak, let Midstate Roofing take a peek.
Still looking at a couple of problems. Bar Road at Augusta Highway at Satcher in Lexington. Killian Road at I-77, a wreck there. Also, Nunamaker Drive, Broad River Road. That one's still being reported today. Your high will be 85 degrees under mostly sunny skies. Tomorrow, 35% chance of afternoon thunderstorms, 80 degrees for high. Sunday, really tiny, maybe 10% chance of afternoon showers, 82 for your high on Sunday. Monday, very nice day. Sunny skies, 81 for your high. It's Captain Dave, Wetzel Automotive Traffic Center.
A big night in high school football. It's week 1. Not to be confusing, because it is the second week of the season. We had a lot of excitement to open the high school football season last Friday night. And here to join us now to talk about that and the big games tonight, our man Lou Bajak from the state. And Lou, there is no better way to start this segment than talking about your interview with the Spring Valley head coach after they snapped a historic losing streak and did so in incredible fashion. I guess if you're going to break a losing streak, doing it to start a season and doing it in overtime and doing it in style is a great way to go about it.
Yeah, just do it. Also falling behind 19-0 with 9 minutes left in the third quarter. Might as well do it all. And there was no way I thought that midway through the third quarter that we would be talking about Spring Valley snapping the losing streak. But they got the stops. They got the turnovers. They really shut Northeast down that last quarter and a half, and then in overtime came up with the big interception. Tucker hit the game tying and the game winning field goal, and it was pretty electric atmosphere, even from the start to the finish. I mean, they had student section, the fans. It was definitely you could sense the buzz and what Coach Washington's been preaching in the off season, and he was just excited. Players lifted him up over his shoulders. He was pretty excited. He basically cut a wrestling promo after the first question I asked him, and it was good time, and we'll see if they could go 2 in a row tonight. They got Lower Richland also at home tonight.
I was going to say, that leads me to this one. Do you think they make it 2-0? Now, Lower Richland they ran into a buzzsaw, which was Lugoff Elgin's offense last week. That passing attack was lethal, and Lower Richland just didn't have any answer for it for the last 3 quarters of that game. How do you see that one going tonight?
Yeah, I think Lower Richland's defense pretty good, but I think Spring Valley, they got some confidence. It will be see how they respond to success. I mean, they've gone 2+ years without winning now, get a little success. I'm sure Coach Washington brought them back down to earth on Monday and just see if they could follow this up. And I think they got a good chance to do it. They got a good, bright future. The quarterback, Williams, he's a freshman. I think they got their quarterback for the next few years, and they moved last year's quarterback, Dylan Redden. He kind of did everything. He was at running back, receiver, tight end. He played defensive back. So I like the way they're using him, and they got a lot of good pieces. It should be another good game, and I think it's going to be a tight one, but they'll have that confidence knowing what they did last week.
And then speaking of Lugoff Elgin, too, who beat Lower Richland in that game, one of the games I'm most excited for, Lugoff Elgin and Camden. Camden, an incredible program. They had a really exciting week to start the year. Those are 2 teams right now that are playing that started off the season on the right foot. I expect to see a lot of fireworks.
That's an old school rivalry right there.
Yeah, man, it's old school. It goes way back, and it's been kind of dominated by Camden and over the last few years, and they got a several game winning streak in the rivalry. And Camden, like you said, beat White Knoll. It took them 2 days to finish it, but that's a good road win to start the season against White Knoll. And then Lugoff, see how they shut down the receivers, Sadiq and Richardson. Camden's defense is pretty good. I think they got a emerging star. I think sophomore Bernard Green really showed, made some big plays coming out of the backfield and running the ball last week against White Knoll. Grayson Rimp got some confidence, and yeah, it should be an electric atmosphere. Obviously, 2 rivals, and they love to go against each other. So I expect could be a lot of points in this one.
And then, thankfully, this weekend, we're going to have a lot more uniformity as to when games start and finish.
Yes.
But one of those games that started later than expected and finished later than expected, Preston Thorne's own Somerville Green Wave got past a rival, 35-30. Pretty
tight.
Exciting game. But it's not getting any easier because one of the best teams in the entire state across all classifications, South Florence, is facing off with them tonight over in Somerville. How do you expect that game to go down, and how do you grade out both of these teams after 1 week of football?
Yeah, South Florence, talking about rivalries, they opened their season with a win over their rival West Florence, and you got a great matchup, a great I love these big time non-region matchups early in the season. Props to both schools scheduling this 2-game series, and yeah, I think there's so many playmakers on both sides of the ball. Somerville, their offense, they showed big time and shut down Stratford near the end. And like Malachi Jackson for South Florence, their quarterback. So I expect some fireworks, and it should be a great game. There's about 3 or 4 really big games, especially in the big classifications tonight in non-region action.
And then in terms of a game with serious intrigue for me, one where I think we should see a lot of points being scored, a game that involves 2 first-year head coaches with these schools, Brooklyn Casey and River Bluff. Justin and I both pre-recorded interviews with Lewis Clyburn and Perry Parks, and I can really tell the anticipation from both of those coaches. River Bluff didn't get off to the best start with a loss against Rock Hill. Brooklyn Casey is making their season debut tonight, did not play last weekend. I expect that one to be an incredibly even match. I'm looking forward to seeing how that one goes down.
Yeah, it's been an interesting offseason for BC. Obviously, Coach Clyburn had the sanctions that they got lessened by the high school league, and I think it'll be interesting. They're breaking in a new quarterback and seeing what Coach Clyburn does, and they got a familiar face calling the plays, and G.A. Mangus as the Bearcats offensive coordinator. See what he has planned for Coach Park's defense. Like you said, River Bluff goes on the road, fell behind pretty big to Rock Hill, and weren't able to escape out of that. But they did get their quarterback back. He missed a few weeks. Braden Moore, who Coach Parks is pretty high on, left-hander, and I think their offense with Carter at receiver, Hayden and Myers at running back definitely is going to pose a big task for the BC defense tonight.
And lastly here, Lou, the Rock Hill area, just an immense amount of talent. So many big names and great players have come out of there. It is a hotbed for high school football. What are some games from those teams that you're looking forward to tonight? What was your biggest takeaway from those schools in that area after week 0?
Yeah, South Point not getting the win, but it was a close loss. The way Northwestern handled Spartanburg, I was really impressed by that. You know, Northwestern coming off the state championship. You don't know, breaking in a new quarterback. You know the talent they got with Watkins who's going to A&M, but see how they responded against Spartanburg. And now you got a matchup against Ridgeview, who's also coming off an impressive win against Fairfield. So you got Northwestern and Ridgeview. And Ridgeview, well, what a gauntlet. They got Northwestern this week. Then they go to Dutch Fork next week, back-to-back games against state champions. That'll definitely get them ready for region play the following week after that. So yeah, I expect that should be a fun matchup. That game in Burns and Irmo, I think a couple of the other ones that are going to be interesting to watch tonight.
That's Lou Bajak from the State Paper. Lou at the State on Twitter. If you're not following Lou at this time of the year, it's a you problem, and you should probably rectify that as soon as humanly possible. Lou, thanks so much for joining me, and looking forward to talking to you again tonight as we get these things underway.
Yeah, hopefully I'll be able to call, and game won't end at 11:15 at night. So,
right. Yeah, we don't get free football this time. So, or maybe
Alrighty.
we do. Yeah, awesome, good stuff there from Lou. Well, tune into our show tonight, 7 p.m. the Cotman Transmission High School Football Scoreboard Show. Myself and Justin Hall. Lou will be calling in from the game that he is at, barring any overtime. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, our final thoughts on South Carolina, Virginia Tech, and we'll also give out some show winners next here on the early game. Man, what a good Friday we have here in South Carolina. A massive sports weekend between South Carolina season opener, a big game with Clemson LSU, and a massive race here at Darlington Raceway where we're live right now. But you might not be able to enjoy all that if tax issues are weighing you down and it becomes just that dark cloud over your head. Enjoy your weekend a little bit better. Utilize this Friday and call the Ecton Law Firm if you're dealing with tax issues. Let the stresses of those taxes be taken care of by John Ecton and his team. Set up that free consultation today at 803-771-9800 and let John's local team resolve your income or business tax issues for good. They understand the challenge that you or your business can face when it comes to fighting out of that pesky IRS maze, and they're perfectly qualified to give you the peace of mind to enjoy everything else in life. Again, 803-771-9800 or ectonlawfirm.com. That's ECTONlawfirm.com. Of our Schroeder's Towing Roadshow live at Darlington Raceway. Schroeder's Towing, the best and fastest hookers in town. Schroeder's Towing, always a winner. It's time for us to give our winners of the show and to put our money where our mouth is. We'll tell you who is winning this game on Sunday. Preston Thorne, your show winner.
Show winner for today. For the show winner today, specifically for the show, I'm going to give the winner to Eddie George.
Yes!
Getting his first FBS victory, doing some time at Tennessee State. Eddie George is a college football legend, NFL, very, very close, borderline Hall of Famer NFL, but more importantly, the last of an archetype for running backs.
The bell cow back.
The bell
cow. They
don't
make him like that anymore.
The bruiser. And just a dude that I've always looked to is really interesting. You know, he did Othello. I think he acted on Broadway for a little while. He's just a well-rounded dude, and now he's at Bowling Green getting his first victory. So Eddie George, shout out to you.
I don't get starstruck in this business a lot, but one of my first months on the job as a producer in Nashville, I was given Eddie George's number and say, hey, sometimes he'll answer if you just call him. Book him tomorrow if he's available at like 11:30. I'm like, okay, I'll call, whatever. I don't think he's going to answer. And I called the number within like 2 rings. Hello? And I'm like, Mr. George, sir.
and then had the crackling voice, you know.
I went full 7th grade again.
Yeah.
Mr. George.
Yep. I would imagine he was awesome to work with.
Oh, he was fantastic. Yeah, genuinely great dude. Love Eddie George, and absolutely pulling for him at Bowling Green. Him and Pudge, the team captain they have.
Yes.
Shout out Pudge. My winner for today's show specifically, Chad Creamer, the special teams coordinator at South Florida. They pulled off a fake punt last night by throwing out their backup quarterback to cosplay as the punter before the snap. And then psych, he's throwing a pass. It connects. They score a touchdown, turns a 3-point game into a 10-point game. And then they end up picking up a club and beating Boise State over the head with it for the next quarter and a half. Ended up winning pretty easily and being the biggest surprise in the college football world last night.
For the weekend winner, and make sure you have your Kleenex, make sure you have your paper towels, make sure you have everything. Lee Corso doing his last mascot donning of the mascot head. I will make sure that it'll be an appointment viewing. We will all see it. We'll all probably be crying. And it's awesome. Coach Corso has been a staple in our lives for 30 plus years that we've watched this over the weekend. So it'll be an awesome moment. But shout out to Lee Corso and the crew from College Game Day.
It feels like part of my childhood's going away.
For sure.
Every
sure.
Saturday morning. I mean, for me, from ages like 6 to now, I watch College Game Day. It feels like a part of what I look forward to every Saturday morning. I didn't watch Saturday morning cartoons. I watched College Game Day.
Absolutely.
Right. And
sometimes he was the cartoon.
He was. Yeah.
He was the Saturday morning cartoon on College Game Day. So really going to be trying to keep it together watching that one tomorrow morning when that comes on for his final show. Now for Sunday, South Carolina, Virginia Tech. Preston, who wins this game and why?
South Carolina wins. South Carolina wins because they're a more talented team. I think Shane and staff have put together a lot of talent. They put together a culture. They're building on momentum. They have the better quarterback. They had the better rush DN. And I think they have the better head coach.
Mm-hmm.
And I think those are on 3 different levels. They should win this game. However, it is week 1.
Week 1, yes.
I'll just say that. But all week 1s aside, because it's week 1 for them too.
Yep. Same boat.
Give me South Carolina.
I'm taking South Carolina 24-16. I don't trust Virginia Tech's Frankenstein project that they have.
That was a little bit different. Joe earlier in the show said 27-10. You said 24-16. Now with this 24-16, how do you have these points distributed?
So Virginia Tech will score. I'm banking on one busted play, probably early. I think they'll get a couple of drives into South Carolina territory, but their kicker has endless range. I think he connects on a few field goals. South Carolina is just able to convert on their red zone chances a little more because I think their offense will be further along than Virginia Tech. And that's also me banking on South Carolina's offensive line to be ahead of schedule compared to where it was this time last year, to be able to run the ball well enough. Lenoris will make a few Superman plays to be able to win the game by 8 points.
Carolina scores on the first drive.
Okay.
Ooh, I love that. Yes, Jen, from the top rope. Carolina scores in the first drive. I love that. And I assume they'll probably feature some Lenora Sellers theatrics.
Yeah.
She's like, grass is green, water is wet.
Yeah.
Lenora Sellers is Superman.
Yeah, that's what we're counting on this year.
That's a winner right there. Jen, do you have a winner for today's show and the game?
Darlington.
Yes.
Darlington's a winner.
Look at this place. This place is
it's
gorgeous.
fabulous. Yeah, I think Darlington.
Always really cool to be here and see the activities start up as the day starts going along.
A busy weekend full of all kinds of activities here, and that's definitely a winner.
Oh, absolutely winner. And reminder, too, that on Sunday, starting at 10 a.m., we'll have our tailgate show live at O'Hara's for the local pregame show. And then stick around and watch the game with Terry Ford and Tyler Head. I'll be joining the show from Atlanta with my appearance brought to you by Tilly's Warehouse in 5 Points. So a whole lot going on.
We made it.
We're here.
We made it.
The next time you hear from us, we will be reacting to South Carolina, Virginia Tech.
See you on the other side.
We'll see you on the other side. Until then, I'm Elijah Campbell. He's Preston Thorne. She's Jen Jensen. Tyler Head, and the Extra Point is next.
You know, they do say perfection is a journey. Well, our journey led us to update a bathroom in our home. And we went to Carolina Stone Craftsman to get help with countertops. And you know what? They understand that any kitchen or bath project is a significant investment, but that's why they really make it a priority to deliver the most affordable granite, marble, and quartz while delivering the highest quality countertops and the best service that you would come to expect. And we felt at home right away, toured their fabulous showroom, had a great experience. They were helpful in figuring out what it was that we wanted for these bathrooms. And really, the entire experience was fantastic. Once they installed everything,